Chapter 2081. A day or so passed, and Zhao Fu continued to brazenly rob godly spirits of their divine power. There were roughly 4,000 or so of them, and Zhao Fu had already absorbed 4,000 or so divine power orbs. As Zhao Fu continuously robbed godly spirits of their divine power, the news quickly spread, and many godly spirits knew that there was a terrifying cloaked figure who went around robbing godly spirits of their divine power. Most people did not know how terrifying that person was, and when those who had their divine power robbed by that person thought about the terrifying power that that person gave off, they felt a chill run down their spines. Such a terrifying person could definitely rival one of the top 10 geniuses, and such people were usually high and mighty. They would not have anything to do with ordinary godly spirits. Yet this terrifying person was going around robbing godly spirits of their divine power. This made many people feel quite confused, and they could not understand why he was robbing so much divine power. However, after hearing that there was such a person who specialized in bullying ordinary godly spirits and robbing godly spirits of their divine power, the ordinary godly spirits became wary and tried their best not to encounter such a terrifying person. Because of what Zhao Fu did, he attracted more and more people's attention. Now, most people, including ordinary people, only cared about those who had defeated Lord God images and did not pay much attention to ordinary godly spirits. Zhao Fu was the first person who had aroused their interest. The experts on the viewing platforms could guess Zhao Fu's goal. Since he had taken so much godly spirits' divine power, it was definitely very important to him. This meant that he had the ability to fuse many godly spirits' divine power or something else. Thinking to there, the experts could not help but look at the God Demon Emperor's people. Ordinary people would not be able to devour and fuse so many types of divine power, as there was a great conflict between different types of divine power. Ordinary, godly spirits having a few types of divine power was already their limit. It was impossible for a person to have hundreds or even thousands of types of divine power. This had never happened before in the God world. And now, such a terrifying person had appeared in the God Demon Emperor, and he could devour countless godly spirits' divine power. This caused them to feel incredibly shocked. How could the God Demon Emperor's emperor have such terrifying power? Many people were also quite curious about the emperor's identity and why he had such an ability. However, Kerr had not revealed any information, so they could only secretly investigate. Kerr had used this ability to grow so much in just 10 years, and his potential was no less than that of those with Emperor stars. Even now, everyone felt quite envious. Looking at this person who could devour so many types of divine power, everyone immediately thought of the God Demon Emperor, because their emperor also had this ability. Even though that person could only devour other people's divine power, Kerr could directly devour the divinity of other people's divine power. They were still quite shocked. This was because this ability was extremely rare. Now, two of them had appeared. Seeing the mysterious cloaked figure, Zhao Fu felt a chill run down his spine. Seeing that person wearing a cloak and looking quite mysterious. It was also possible that that person was a supporting chess piece sent by the Demon Emperor. His goal was to make Kel's divine power the Lord of the Gods. That was why he was devouring the power of other divine powers to strengthen his divine power. Just thinking about how much divine power he had plundered and assimilated into his body was enough to tell how terrifying it was. There might be a huge change in the future. Everyone looked at the God Demon Emperor with a trace of wariness. They did not know that the God Demon Emperor was just as shocked. They had thought that only their emperor had such terrifying abilities, and now a second person had appeared. The God Demon Emperor did not know why Kerr had such an ability, and they wondered if there was some connection between the two of them. However, from the current situation, it seemed that their emperor was definitely more powerful. Even though that person had such an ability, he definitely could not surpass their emperor, and they were completely confident in this. However, none of them knew that God Kerr's current accomplishments were all because of Zhao Fu. At that moment, Zhao Fu found another god's legacy land. A massive ball of water appeared in front of him, giving off an intense light and giving off a massive aura that covered the heavens and earth. The sky was dark and drizzling as if it would never stop. There was a layer of mist on the ground, blocking one's vision and making it seem like an illusion. The place where Zhao Fu was standing was bright and sunny, and it was like a completely different world compared to the drizzling scene in front of him. There were already many people gathered here, and Zhao Fu saw that there were too many people and did not try to steal their divine power. After all, if there were too many people, Zhao Fu would be on the losing side. At that moment, there were also people who tried to enter the water ball, but they were unable to enter its range. The originally soft and weak rain would suddenly change, turning into ferocious marbles. Just now, a person's body had been pierced by the countless marbles, and his body was covered with blood, looking quite wretched. However, this did not affect Zhao Fu much, and Zhao Fu hugged Jiu Yun as he smiled and said, "Let's go in." Jiu Yun smiled and nodded. Boom! An explosion sounded out, and before anyone could react, a black ray of light giving off a powerful aura rushed towards the ball of water. The raindrops falling from the sky contained immense power as they flew toward Zhao Fu. There were so many of them that it was impossible to count them clearly. Zhao Fu gave off a powerful aura as a black dragon pattern barrier appeared around his body. Bang! 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 Countless water droplets landed on the black dragon inscription barrier, giving off sounds. The black dragon inscription barrier trembled. These water droplets were quite powerful. However, these raindrops did not cause any substantial damage to the black dragon pattern barrier, and Zhao Fu and Jiu Yun successfully entered the ball of water. Their surroundings blurred, and Zhao Fu arrived in another space. Just like the outside world, the sky was covered by gray clouds, and it was drizzling nonstop. There was a layer of mist on the ground, and the air was very humid, with sufficient moisture. It felt like their clothes would be soaked if they stayed here for a while. There was a 1,000-meter tall statue of a woman on a platform. She wore a palace dress and had a beautiful face and a slim figure. She gave off a gentle aura and gave off a powerful aura. This was the legacy land of the rain god, and one could obtain powerful rain god power. It was not just Zhao Fu and Jiu Yun here. There was also a woman who was undergoing the stone statue's test. The woman had a graceful figure, a pretty face, and fair skin. She wore a light green dress and gave off a flirtatious aura. She also gave off a powerful aura, and she was also a rain god. At that moment, the stone statue gave off a massive ancient rain god power, and the raindrops turned into flying daggers that continuously shot towards the woman. Chapter 2082. The woman used her own power to defend, and countless water whips gathered around her. These water whips were all condensed from water, and each whips was as thick as 2 fingers. There were hundreds of them, and they continuously lashed out. Water flying daggers continuously shot towards the woman, and the water whips continuously lashed out with immense power, causing the flying daggers to turn into splashes of water and fall from the sky. Looking at this battle, Zhao Fu estimated that it would take some time, and he did not want to wait here. As such, he said to Jiu Yun, "Search for treasures here as soon as possible. Don't be as busy as last time." Jiu Yun smiled as she replied, "I understand. Lord, you should be careful." Following this, Jiu Yun left Zhao Fu's side and searched for treasures in the surroundings. As a core god's legacy land, there are many good things here. Zhao Fu flew forwards. When Zhao Fu entered the area controlled by the stone statue gave off a massive wave of god power. The countless raindrops in the surroundings instantly turned into countless flying daggers that quickly shot toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu immediately turned his 10,000 god power into rain god power, and a massive aura spread out. He stretched out his hand and grabbed out, causing countless black liquids to appear and condense in Zhao Fu's hand, forming a 100-meter long black water sword. Boom! Zhao Fu grabbed the black water sword and vigorously swung it, causing the 100-meter long black water sword to give off a terrifying sword energy as it slashed forwards with unstoppable force. Bang! 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 Massive sounds sounded out as the countless flying daggers were instantly turned into splashes of water and fell from the sky. Zhao Fu directly flew forwards, surpassing the flirtatious woman. The woman's expression fell. She had never thought that Zhao Fu, a latecomer, would have such great power, surpassing her in an instant. Now, she was waving the water whips and could not advance much at all. Zhao Fu ignored the woman and quickly flew in front of the stone statue. The stone statue gave off a massive might and gave off intense water light as a massive square formation appeared on the ground. At that moment, Zhao Fu felt a massive might press down on his body as he quickly fell. Because of his previous experience, Zhao Fu was prepared this time. Zhao Fu gave off a powerful aura and resisted that might. Bang! A massive sound rang out as Zhao Fu half-knelt on one knee, causing the ground to crack and rocks to fly everywhere. This time, Zhao Fu was not as wretched as before. He directly created a large crater in the ground. After landing on the ground, Zhao Fu felt a powerful might. His expression was serious, and he did not dare to be careless. He circulated his power to resist that might, stood up, and walked forwards. Zhao Fu's expression was serious, and he did not dare to be careless. He circulated his power to resist that might, stood up, and walked forwards. The woman had easily seen Zhao Fu pass the final trial, and she looked quite shocked. This had been too easy. However, she did not want to admit defeat, and she exploded out with a powerful wave of power. Countless traces of water appeared in the surroundings, forming even more whips that lashed out in all directions. Bang! Bang! Massive sounds rang out as the water blades were smashed into countless splashes by the water whips. The water whips continuously twisted and turned, giving off ferocious auras. The woman used this power to quickly fly forwards. By now, Zhao Fu had arrived in front of the stone statue, and the boundless rainwater energy flooded into Zhao Fu's body. The massive stone statue seemed to come to life and looked down at Zhao Fu as if it was sizing up Zhao Fu. Its gaze seemed to be able to see through Zhao Fu. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the stone statue's forehead shined with intense water light, and a massive wave of ancient rain god's power swept out. Boom! A beam of water shot out from the stone statue's forehead, bringing with it a massive aura as it shot towards Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu's body trembled, and he sensed the ancient rain god's power continuously flowing into Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu continuously absorbed this massive wave of ancient rain god's power and fused it into his black godhead. Within Zhao Fu's consciousness, black rain started to fall as a concept of rain spread out. Boom! This time, there was no need for Zhao Fu to forcefully absorb the sovereign god's power, and the stone statue gave off an even more powerful wave of rain god's power. The beam of water from the stone statue's forehead became even more intense, and even more ancient rain god's power continuously flowed into Zhao Fu's body, forming an incredibly terrifying aura. Boom! Before the stone statue could stop, an even more powerful wave of rain god's power shot out from the stone statue's forehead, and an even more intense beam of water shot toward Zhao Fu's body. The beautiful woman, who had been undergoing the test, had a look of shock on her face. She had no idea what was going on or why the stone statue was continuously sending waves of ancient rain god's power into Zhao Fu's body. Boom! An even more powerful aura spread out, and the stone statue's forehead shined with even more intense light. An even more intense beam of water shot towards Zhao Fu's body, and rain god's power continuously flowed into Zhao Fu's body. It wasn't just the woman who was shocked. The many experts on the viewing platforms were also shocked. They understood Zhao Fu's situation better than anyone else. Last time, the wind god had done the same thing. The wind god had sent 10 strands of inheritance power into Zhao Fu's body, causing Zhao Fu to obtain the most terrifying ancient wind god's power. However, the ancient rain god stone statue had done the same thing. Just what was so special about that person for two ancient god statues to care so much about him? The people on the viewing platform's expressions became quite serious. The more they thought about this person's identity, the more suspicious they became. Could it be that this person was the legendary second King of Kings? They could not be sure if the King of Kings had come or not, so they first searched everywhere before personally standing guard at the entrance of the secret realm. If the second King of Kings had come, they would definitely have sensed it. However, they did not sense anything off this time. Perhaps the second King of Kings had used something to hide his aura and stealthily entered the secret realm. He understood that once he entered the secret realm, they would not be able to do anything to him. However, despite this, most people were unable to confirm Zhao Fu's identity. Moreover, there were a few other suspicious people in the competition. Now, everyone's expressions became serious as they thought about what to do next. Boom! Boom! Massive sounds sounded out as the stone statue gave off waves of ancient rain god's power that continuously flowed into Zhao Fu's body. Under the massive amounts of ancient rain god's power, Zhao Fu's body started to become a rain god. Chapter 2083. Zhao Fu's skin, eyes, and hair all became watery and gave off a watery light. He gave off a powerful rain god aura, and water droplets condensed around Zhao Fu and floated around him. After the stone statue gave Zhao Fu all of the legacy, it also gradually disappeared. Boom! Within the secret realm, the massive ball of water gave off an intense light and a massive aura as it turned into a ray of light and shot into the sky with countless water droplets. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the ball of water exploded, and a watercolored shockwave spread out with unstoppable force. A powerful aura swept out, and countless water droplets shot everywhere. In the sky, there was a massive magic formation with 24 circles, and one of them gave off a watery light, as if the circle was filled with water. Now, there were 2 circles in the sky that had been filled up, and they gave off different lights. This scene caused everyone in the secret realm to feel quite surprised. How could it be so fast again? The rain god had also found 10 legatees and given them the legacy power before disappearing after completing her task. This speed was much faster than before. The Master God's test was incredibly difficult for ordinary people, and ordinary people would not be able to pass it at all. As such, there would not be so many people obtaining the Master God's legacy power at once. Could it be that there were many people with extraordinary talent hidden in the crowd and were only revealing their strength now? Apart from this guess, no one else could think of a second possibility. Within the rain god's legacy ground, as the stone statue disappeared, the ripples also disappeared. The woman looked at Zhao Fu in shock. She had worked so hard to obtain the legacy, but this person had obtained it so easily without leaving a single one for anyone else. She could not understand why this was happening, and she felt quite displeased. However, when she thought about Zhao Fu's terrifying power, she had no choice but to accept it. This person was much more terrifying than her, and he definitely had a prestigious identity. Sensing the massive amount of ancient rain god's power within his body, Zhao Fu grinned. This rain god's power was undoubtedly the most powerful type of rain god's power, and it controlled the source energy of rain and ruled over the rain domain. Relying on a kind of power, Zhao Fu could control the weather at will. If he wanted to rain somewhere, it would rain there. It would rain as heavily as he wanted it to rain. At the same time, Zhao Fu fused the rain god's power into his godhead, causing his myriad god's power to rise by a large degree, becoming even more terrifying. In addition, Zhao Fu now had 2 types of sovereign's power. The powerful sovereign's power allowed Zhao Fu to also have 2 types of sovereign's constitutions. In other words, the state where his body had changed color just now was the sovereign's constitution. Zhao Fu's hair, eyes, and body started to turn green as well. His body started to emit a green glow as well. This was the state of the Wind Master celestial body. At this time, Zhao Fu's wind god's power would become even stronger, and all of his moves would contain a powerful wind force. Zhao Fu's hair, eyes and body started to turn green as well. This was the state of the Rain Master's celestial body. At this time, Zhao Fu's rain god's power would become even stronger, and all of his moves would contain a powerful rain force. After withdrawing the rain god's power, Zhao Fu returned to his normal state. The woman thought for a moment before coming up and saying, "May I know who you are?" It was impossible for her to obtain the sovereign's power. So she was thinking that if she could make friends with a terrifying existence like Zhao Fu, she might be able to gain some benefits. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "That's a secret." The woman paused and smiled as she said, "Then let me introduce myself. My name is Yu Zhu, and I come from the Divine World's Yusin faction." Zhao Fu lightly nodded. For this woman to be able to come here, she was quite strong. However, it was impossible for Zhao Fu to tell her his true identity, so he smiled as he said, "It's not convenient for me to tell you who I am. Please understand." Seeing this, Yu Zhu did not continue to ask. A person like Zhao Fu's identity might be beyond her imagination, so she smiled as she said, "Sir, you obtained all of the rain god's power. This is enough to prove that Sir is quite ordinary, and I greatly admire you." Jiu Yin went up and hugged Zhao Fu as she smiled coquettishly as she said, "Don't talk about these useless things. My lord's identity is incredibly noble, and you can't even imagine it. Right now, you can only be my lord's woman and serve him with me." Yu Zhu's face became slightly red as she looked at Zhao Fu and felt quite shocked. Hearing Jiu Yun's words, it seemed that Zhao Fu's identity was even more terrifying than she had imagined. However, even so, she would not easily take the initiative to serve someone else. Zhao Fu hugged Jiu Yun and smiled as he said to her, "The core god's legacy land is about to close, so let's take advantage of this time to search for treasures." Yu Zhu also smiled apologetically at Zhao Fu. Following this, Zhao Fu brought Jiu Yun around the rain god's legacy land to search for rain attribute treasures, and Yu Zhu did the same. A few hours later, Zhao Fu and Jiu Yun teleported out. Zhao Fu told Jiu Yun to wait while he continued to loot godly spirit's divine power, as it was quite inconvenient for him to bring her along. Soon, the godly spirits heard about Zhao Fu robbing many godly spirits' divine power, and they became even more careful, not wanting to run into Zhao Fu. However, as more and more victims appeared, the news spread, and it attracted the attention of the top 10 geniuses. However, even though they paid some attention to this person, they did not intend to do anything because Zhao Fu had not offended them. Some of the people who had been robbed by Zhao Fu were quite dissatisfied and wanted to get a group of godly spirits to attack Zhao Fu. They wanted to teach Zhao Fu a lesson and not let him be so arrogant and fearless. However, very few godly spirits were willing to attack Zhao Fu, as Zhao Fu had only robbed them of their divine power and had not taken anything else. They did not want to lose their lives over some divine power. A while later, a group of godly spirits used up a lot of divine power and obtained a precious ore. They then sat on the ground and rested, recovering their divine power. Boom! A massive aura spread out, causing the air to become heavy. The godly spirits looked quite afraid as they looked at the sky and saw a person wearing a black cloak appear in front of them. Before Zhao Fu could speak, the godly spirits on the ground already knew who Zhao Fu was, so they immediately said, "Sir, don't attack. We'll immediately condense divine power for you." Hearing this, Zhao Fu felt quite surprised. Was he really that famous now? However, this was a good thing. He did not have to go through so much trouble and could quickly and continuously obtain divine power. Moreover, these people were not very resistant, and Zhao Fu did not want to become a public enemy. Chapter 2084. After a while, the godly spirits condensed orbs of divine power and lightly tossed them out, causing different colored orbs of light to fly toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu waved his hand and put away the orbs of divine power before leaving. The godly spirits on the ground all let out a sigh of relief. As expected, that terrifying person only needed to steal some god power. After handing over the god power, nothing would happen to him. With that person's power, if he wanted to kill them, they would not be able to resist at all. Zhao Fu wanted to find a place to fuse the divine power that he had plundered. Suddenly, Zhao Fu seemed to sense something, and his expression froze before he quickly flew to the side. The three-legged golden crow within Zhao Fu's spirit pet ring also became quite excited. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a white orb of light appeared in the sky, giving off blinding light. It was like a small sun illuminating the heavens and earth, and a searing aura spread out. This was another entrance to a core god's legacy land. Based on the aura that it gave off, this core god was most likely a sun core god. Before participating in the god competition, Zhao Fu had obtained ancient sun god power from a sun pond, and had also obtained the sun god body. As such, he was very sensitive to ancient sun god power. The orb of light gave off intense light in the sky, and anyone who came close would be burned by the intense light. The light was very powerful, and it caused the ground in front of him to crack. Flowers, grass, and trees all died in an instant, and the scene was quite terrifying. Zhao Fu came to this place and saw that no one had come yet. Zhao Fu thought about it, and a golden energy barrier appeared around his body. This golden energy barrier gave off the aura of sun god power. This was the sun god power that Zhao Fu had unleashed. Because Zhao Fu already had powerful ancient sun god power, it was quite easy for him. When the searing light landed on the barrier, it easily blocked the light, and Zhao Fu's body directly flew into the orb of light. The scene changed, and Zhao Fu arrived at another place by himself. There was not a single cloud in this place, and the sun gave off intense light that shone down on the ground. There were many large trees on the ground, and their leaves were dark green. Steam rose from the ground, making it seem like a steamer. On the same platform, there was a huge stone statue. This stone statue was 1,000 meters tall and looked like a valiant-looking young man. He wore a long robe and had a pair of wings on his back that gave off intense white light and a massive sun god aura. A strong thought came from a spiritual pet ring. Zhao Fu thought about it and released the golden crow's corpse. Howl! As soon as the huge golden crow came out, it happily let out a loud cry that resounded in all directions. The golden crow skeleton flew in the sky. It liked its surroundings very much, because this space was filled with intense sun god power. There were a few experts on the viewing platforms who looked quite confused. Back when there had been abnormal movement to the sun lake, they had gone over to take a look, but they had not found anything. Now that they had seen the golden crow skeleton, they understood that everything had been caused by Zhao Fu. They regretted not having been more careful back then. Perhaps they would have been able to capture Zhao Fu and investigate his identity. That way, they would be able to understand just who Zhao Fu was, and they would not have to keep guessing. Moreover, it was evident that Zhao Fu was not simple at all. His ability to devour the power of 10,000 gods was enough to shock them. If he was nurtured, even though he would not be as terrifying as God Kerr, he would still become an extremely terrifying person. The appearance of the golden crow skeleton attracted the stone statue's attention, and a strange expression appeared on its face. Zhao Fu suspected that these stone statues had their own consciousnesses, and perhaps they contained a trace of an ancient god's remnant soul. The sun god in front of Zhao Fu felt that it was one of the 3 golden crows because its aura was quite similar, and it also had a pair of wings on its back. The golden crow skeleton flew in the sky and looked at the stone statue, looking quite happy. Even though it did not have any memories, it felt quite close to the stone statue. Boom! The stone statue gave off a trace of a smile and slowly raised its hand towards the sun in the sky. A powerful wave of sun god power flowed out and shot into the sky, giving off a massive explosion. The sun in the sky gave off an even more intense white light, making it impossible to see it with one's eyes. A massive wave of sun power covered the heavens and earth. The world became a blazing white, making it impossible to see anything clearly. Even Zhao Fu could not take it and used his arm to block the white light. The golden crow skeleton became even happier it seemed to understand the stone statue's intentions. It gave a massive cry and flapped its wings as it flew towards the white sun in the sky. The golden crow skeleton's massive body became smaller and smaller before disappearing, as if it had flown into the sun. Following this, the light from the sun dimmed, and the surroundings were no longer as hot. Everything returned to how it had been before. Zhao Fu did not know what had happened. He sent his consciousness into the golden crow skeleton's body and found that it was within an enormous white orb of light. The golden crow skeleton was absorbing boundless ancient sun god power. Seeing this scene, Zhao Fu could not help but give a trace of a smile. Absorbing such powerful sun god power was a great thing for the golden crow skeleton, and it would be of great help to him. Zhao Fu looked at the stone statue. He planned to accept the stone statue's test and obtain the sun god's power. Even though Zhao Fu had already obtained the ancient sun god power, it was evident that the ancient sun god power was much more powerful than ordinary ancient sun god power. Boom! As Zhao Fu came closer, the stone statue retracted its hand and instinctively gave off countless rays of white light. Enormous orbs of light appeared. There were simply too many of them to count. They gave off searing auras, and the scene was quite terrifying. Zhao Fu also gave off the sun god power. A golden light shone from Zhao Fu's body, illuminating the surroundings. This was the sun god's inheritance ground. Using the sun god power was very beneficial, and it was easier to obtain the sun god's inheritance. But after Zhao Fu released the sun god power, something unexpected suddenly happened. The stone statue looked at Zhao Fu and felt Zhao Fu's aura. Its expression suddenly froze, and it retracted the sun god power. The enormous white orbs of light also dissipated. Zhao Fu, who had wanted to fight, was also surprised. Seeing the stone statue retract the sun god power, he did not know what it wanted. He waited where he was, but nothing happened. Then, Zhao Fu flew forward. He did not receive any attacks and went directly to the sun statue. Chapter 2085. The might from before and the magic formation did not appear, so Zhao Fu did not go anywhere. The stone statue lowered its head and looked at Zhao Fu, seeming to be able to see through everything about Zhao Fu. The many experts on the viewing platforms felt quite confused. Why did the stone statue not need to undergo any tests? This was the first time they had seen something like this. However, some people quickly discovered the reason. It was most likely because of that sun god power. After sensing that ancient sun god power, the sun god core godstone statue had taken back its sun god power. That massive golden crow skeleton seemed to have a great connection with the sun god core god. Perhaps they had the same bloodline, or perhaps they didn't. No one knew what that connection was. Boom! As expected, after the stone statue looked at Zhao Fu, its forehead also gave off boundless white light, and a searing aura spread out. A searing white light giving off a powerful aura landed on Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu felt a massive wave of sun god power flow into his body, and Zhao Fu quickly absorbed it and fused it into his divine spark. The divine spark continuously absorbed sun god power, and its power quickly increased. Boom! The stone statue's forehead gave off an even more intense white light, and an even more searing energy spread out. A searing white light giving off a powerful aura quickly landed on Zhao Fu's body, and an even more massive wave of sun god power flowed into Zhao Fu's body. Seeing this, everyone's expressions became somewhat serious. Could it be that the sun god core god power had also sent all 10 legacy energies into that person's body? Boom! Countless blinding white lights shot out from the stone statue's forehead, illuminating the surroundings. An even more searing energy spread out, and a searing white light, giving off even more powerful sun god power, entered Zhao Fu's body. Just who is this person? Seeing this, everyone no longer doubted that the sun god core godstone statue would once again give all 10 legacy energies to that person. But just what was that person's identity? What terrifying things did he have on him, and why did the sun statue value him so much? More importantly, it wasn't just a single stone statue. Earlier on, the Wind Master God and the Rain Master God statues had viewed Zhao Fu with great importance as well, and had channeled all of their legacy power into Zhao Fu's injured body. They could accept one or two of them, but now that three sovereigns had acted in such a manner, they truly found it hard to accept. It was now much more likely that that person was the second King of Kings. After all, apart from the second King of Kings, who had shocked the entire world, no one could think of such potential. Boom, boom, boom. Explosions continuously sounded out as beams of blazing white light containing immense sun god power continuously entered Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu's body, under the powerful sun god power, once again changed. Zhao Fu's eyes, skin, and hair became slightly white, and his body gave off a white light as his body gave off an aura of sun god power. As expected, Zhao Fu once again obtained the sun god body. In this state, his sun god power was at its strongest, and all of his attacks contained sun god power. Sensing the sun god power within his body, Zhao Fu felt as if he could turn into a true sun and shine down on the world. After obtaining 10 traces of ancient sun god power, Zhao Fu's 10,000 godly power became even more powerful. However, because he had devoured 2 gods' power, Zhao Fu's 10,000 godly power once again became unbalanced. Luckily, Zhao Fu had not used the god power he had obtained from robbing 2,000 or so godly spirits, so he could use it now to balance out the 10,000 godly power and maintain its balance. 2,000 different colored orbs of light flew out of Zhao Fu's spatial ring and floated around him, giving off different color divine power as a massive wave of divine power spread out. Following this, all of the divine power orbs fused into Zhao Fu's body, and he stood there with his eyes closed as he absorbed the god power. The experts on the viewing platforms all looked incredibly shocked, so that person had the ability to devour 10,000 godly power. It wasn't something that could devour 10,000 godly power. He was robbing those godly spirits' god power in order to absorb it. Within a legacy land, there was no such thing as a personal barrier. Now that everyone had personally seen Zhao Fu devour so much god power, they all understood what was going on. Everyone could not help but look at the god demon emperor. It seemed that this person was definitely related to the god demon emperor, and he definitely was not a pawn of the god demon emperor. It seemed that this person's potential was not below God Curse. Even though the god demon emperor was very powerful, he definitely would not use such a terrifying person as a pawn. With how he was continuously becoming stronger, he would have to fight with God Curse sooner or later. The two of them both had terrifying abilities, and only one of them could win in the end. It felt as if they were mortal enemies. The god demon emperor and the other's expressions became serious. Now that such a powerful person had suddenly appeared, they could not help but feel worried. If that person met with their legatee, what would happen? Within the legacy land, Zhao Fu spent some time devouring and fusing with god power. The balance of 10,000 godly power had been restored, and it had become even more powerful. If he continued to grow like this, even Zhao Fu felt quite shocked. Screech! A massive bird's cry sounded throughout the sky, and Zhao Fu opened his eyes. He looked up and saw a massive white crow fly out from the sun, giving off a massive wave of sun god power and an intense sense of suppression. Zhao Fu felt quite shocked as he looked at the white crow. Before, the crow had only been bones, but now, not only did it grow flesh, but it also had pure white feathers. Before, its power had been golden, but now, both its body and power had become white. Zhao Fu felt that even though the three-legged white crow now had flesh and feathers, it had not recovered much of its power, and it would most likely take a long time to recover. However, now that the three-legged white crow had a body, it was a delightful thing. It would allow the three-legged white crow to recover even faster and not waste time growing flesh. The three-legged white crow happily flew down from the sky and landed in front of Zhao Fu. Its body was 100,000 meters long, and Zhao Fu could only look up from the ground. After landing, The three-legged white crow was quite disappointed that it did not see the stone statue, but its gaze quickly fell on Zhao Fu's body. Right now, it was closest to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu smiled as he examined the three-legged white crow's body, and he found that its power was already quite terrifying. If it recovered to its peak state, it would be even more terrifying. This power belonged to the ancient sun god, core god, and it was no longer its own ancient sun power. Zhao Fu was quite satisfied and allowed it to happily play outside while he searched for sun attribute treasures. Chapter 2086. Boom! A massive explosion once again sounded out as the massive orb of white light within the secret realm gave off an intense white light and gave off a massive aura as it turned into a ray of white light and shot into the sky. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the orb of white light exploded out, and a wave of white light spread out with unstoppable force. A powerful aura spread out as countless rays of white light shot everywhere. In the sky, there were 24 magic formations, and one of them gave off a white light, making it seem as if a circle had been filled with white light. Now, there were 3 circles in the sky that had been filled, and they gave off different lights. Everyone looked at the sky in shock. How could 10 people obtain legacies at once? If it was the first or second time, they might have believed it, but this was the 3rd time. It was impossible for 10 people to obtain the power of inheritance at the same time. Something must have happened to cause the current situation. There was also another possibility, which was that a single person had obtained all of the legacies, which was why the 3 legacy lands had been filled so quickly. If it was the first possibility, everyone could accept it, but the second possibility was quite terrifying. Who could obtain all of the legacies from 3 god lords? Before, no one could think of anyone who could do such a thing, as it was simply impossible. Moreover, god lords' power conflicted with one another. Even though everyone knew that God Kerr had the ability to devour tens of thousands of other gods, the statue itself had been tested and tested for potential. God Kerr was quite terrifying, but no one believed that he could obtain all of the legacies from 3 god lords. Suddenly, everyone thought of an incredibly terrifying person, and only that person had such potential. Otherwise, no one could think of anyone else. Could it be that the second King of Kings had really come to the secret realm? How had he snuck in? He had been able to fool so many experts. All of this was just speculation, and no one could be sure that the second King of Kings had come to the secret realm. Perhaps the person who had obtained all of the 3 god lords' legacies was not the second King of Kings. No one knew if this was true or not, but this gave everyone a sense of pressure. It was possible that an incredibly terrifying figure had appeared in the secret realm. Even the 2 Emperor stars were no exception, and they also felt a wave of pressure. There was also the huge 24 circles in the sky. Now, 3 of them had been filled with light. Once all 24 circles were filled, the competition would end early. In the past, the 24 spheres had not been filled so quickly. In fact, some sovereigns had not even obtained all 10 legacies, causing the 24 spheres to be unable to be filled. Everyone seized the time to do all sorts of things, already having some expectations. At this time, some of the top 10 geniuses had already entered the Lord's inheritance ground and obtained the Lord's inheritance. However, because there were only 24 core gods, they represented 24 different attributes. If one was not a god of one of the 24 attributes, it would be difficult to obtain the core god's legacy power, and it would not be able to satisfy the needs of the many gods of different attributes. After Zhao Fu collected a pile of treasures in the secret territory, he brought the 3-legged white crow out of the inheritance ground and returned to the secret territory. Zhao Fu then put away the 3-legged white crow because it was too big and the aura it emitted was too terrifying. Others would be able to sense it from far away, which was not beneficial to Zhao Fu's movements. Following this, Zhao Fu continued to plunder the godly spirit's divine power to neutralize the 10,000 godly power. Boom! In another core god's inheritance ground, a handsome man dressed in green robes and giving off a powerful aura walked towards a core god statue. This core god statue was of an elder who looked around 60 years old. He wore long robes and held a wooden staff. His hair seemed to have many leaves, and his body gave off a powerful godly spirit's aura. Boom! As the green-clothed man came closer, the statue gave off an intense green light. Leaves appeared in the air, each of them giving off a trace of cold light, and seeming to be incredibly sharp. Swish, swish, swish! Green leaves quickly flew towards the green-clothed man. They were so densely packed that it was impossible to count them clearly. They filled the entire sky, creating a terrifying scene. However, the green-clothed man did not show any fear. He stretched out a hand, and a powerful energy flowed out, forming tree roots around him. These roots were incredibly straight and tough, and they gave off a terrifying aura. Bang! 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 The tree roots gave off terrifying power as they shot towards the incoming leaves. The immense power shattered the countless leaves, causing them to turn into motes of green light and dissipate. The green-clothed man quickly flew forwards and entered the statue's domain. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the statue gave off boundless green light and a massive might. A massive green magic formation appeared on the ground, giving off a faint green light. The green-clothed man's expression changed, and his body was affected by the immense pressure, causing him to quickly descend. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the green-clothed man's body crashed to the ground, opening up a large crater and causing rocks to fly everywhere. The green-clothed man crawled up from the ground, his expression quite grim. He seemed to have underestimated the statue's power, which was why he was in such a wretched state. This ancient core god was incredibly powerful. After crawling up from the ground, the green-clothed man resisted that massive might and continued to walk forwards. In the end, he came in front of the statue. The statue looked down at the green-clothed man, and its forehead gave off an intense green light. A powerful aura exploded out as a beam of light filled with the aura of a tree shot into the green-clothed man's body. The green-clothed man stood there and closed his eyes as he absorbed the ancient tree god's power. With his identity, ordinary godly spirit's legacy power would not have any effect on him at all. However, this was the power of an ancient god, one of the gods who had created the era of gods. His power was still extremely terrifying. Even though the green-robed man had a divine bloodline, the power of the ancient tree god was still very useful to him. Sensing this ancient tree god's power, the green-clothed man put away his previous carelessness and underestimation. He came from a Saint-Tier faction, which was located in the half-celestial world. From the start, he had always been filled with disdain and contempt towards people or things from a lower world. He felt that they were too weak. Boom! A massive explosion once again sounded out as the statue's forehead gave off an even more intense green light, and a powerful green beam of light shot towards the green-clothed man's body. Chapter 2087. Sensing the endless power of the ancient tree god entering his body, the green-clothed man's lips curled into a confident smile. With his divine bloodline and identity, he was confident that he could obtain all of the legacy power of the ancient tree god. The green-clothed man knew about the person who had obtained all the legacies of the three overgods. It was exactly because of this that he had entered the land of legacy as well. He wanted to prove that he had that kind of potential. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the statue's forehead shone with an even more intense green light. A powerful beam of green light continued to land on the green-clothed man's body, and even more legacy power entered his body. The experts looked at the green-clothed man in surprise. Seeing the streams of ancient god power continuously enter his body, they wondered if this person had the ability to obtain all of the legacy power of the overgods. Before, everyone had noticed this green-clothed man because he was one of the experts hidden in the crowd. They had long since sensed that he was not ordinary. Boom! 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 Massive sounds rang out as countless rays of green light shot out from the statue's forehead. The rays of green light containing great power landed on the green-clothed man's body, and massive waves of the ancient tree, God's power, entered his body. The experts could not help but feel nervous and expectant. Did this green-clothed man have the potential to obtain all of the legacy power of the overgods? If he did, he would become another terrifying person. The green-clothed man was very confident. He did not believe that with his bloodline and terrifying identity, he would not be able to obtain all of the legacy power of Overgod. Boom! A massive explosion once again sounded out as a ray of green light, giving off a massive aura landed on the green-clothed man's body. This was 7 Overgod's legacy power, and he was only missing 3. The green-clothed man gave a confident smile as he closed his eyes and focused on absorbing the power. He believed that he would not be weaker than that person. Suddenly, the ray of green light on the green-clothed man's body gradually weakened, causing the green-clothed man to feel stunned. He opened his eyes and looked at the statue, and he found that the amount of ancient god power entering his body was indeed decreasing. The green-clothed man did not believe it. After waiting for a while, the ray of green light disappeared, and the green light from the statue's forehead disappeared as well. The statue's massive aura also weakened. It really had stopped. Given his bloodline, his status, and his tremendous amount of karmic luck, he had only been able to acquire 7 strands of sovereign power from the primordial tree. The green-robed man felt extremely dissatisfied. That person had been able to acquire 10 strands of sovereign power, so why couldn't he? Boom! The green-clothed man exploded out with a powerful aura, and a massive green aura flowed out, forming a massive green vortex behind him. A powerful suction force shot out towards a stone statue. Boom! A massive wave of power exploded out from the statue's body, forming a massive shockwave that spread out with thunderous power. Sensing this terrifying power, the green-clothed man's body felt cold, and he felt terror. He hurriedly defended and used his hand to block in front of him. His arm gave off a green light and formed a semicircular barrier. Bang! A muffled sound was heard as the green energy shield was instantly shattered. The green-robed man's body was sent flying and fell to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. The green-clothed man was still a bit behind, and he looked at the stone statue in shock and terror. This stone statue was not as simple as he had expected, and the power that it had just given off seemed to belong to a celestial. The other experts were also quite surprised. That person had also tried to forcefully absorb the sovereign power like the green-clothed man, but that person had not reacted at all, while the green-clothed man had been attacked. Fortunately, the sovereign power had not been too powerful, or else the green-clothed man would have been killed. This was how terrifying the sovereign power was. If it really could be offended, they would not have been so shocked when they saw Zhao Fu forcefully absorb the sovereign power. The green-clothed man came back to his senses, and his expression became quite unsightly. He had only obtained 7 strands of sovereign power, which was a miracle to others. However, he had not obtained all of the sovereign power, which meant that he was inferior to that person. Thinking about that, the green-clothed man felt quite angry. With his status and bloodline, how could he be inferior to someone from the Heaven-Awakened world? Before, he had looked down on the people and things in the Heaven-Awakened world, and he had never thought that there would be someone even more terrifying than him. Just what kind of person was that person, and what sort of status did he have to obtain all of the sovereign power? Now, the green-clothed man was quite curious about that person's identity. The many experts on the viewing platforms felt both disappointed and relieved at the same time. They were disappointed that this person did not have the ability to obtain all of a core god's legacy power, while that person had obtained all of the power of 3 core gods. There was no way for them to compare. The reason they let out a sigh of relief was that even though the green-clothed man had been able to obtain 7 sovereign gods' legacies, which meant that he was quite terrifying, it was not too terrifying. It was still within an acceptable range, unlike that person, who had long since surpassed their expectations. The green-clothed man stood up and became much more respectful towards the stone statue. He did not dare to do such a thing again, and he directly left the legacy land. Lil Gio, hee. A young girl happily hugged a purple cat that was as fat as a pig and affectionately rubbed her face against the fat cat's face. This young girl was the future time god Shurya. The other two time gods also smiled as they looked at the fat cat. This was because the fat cat had done a great service this time, finding the entrance to the Time Master God's legacy land. Out of the 24 time gods, one was a time god. Because time gods were extremely rare, the entrance to the Time Master God's legacy land was incredibly difficult to find, and even ordinary time gods would not be able to find it. This fat cat was quite skilled in finding things, and after searching for so long, he had finally found the entrance to the Time Master God's legacy land. The entrance was located within a hidden valley, and a few of them stood in mid-air within the valley. The fat cat was also very happy to hug its owner. It had caused great trouble before by going to the Holy Sun's place to steal wine, causing its owner to offend a terrifying person. Now, it was time to make up for it. Shurya said with a trace of smile, "Let's enter the Time Master God's legacy land to take the test." The other two women smiled and nodded. Their goal in coming to the secret realm was for the Time Master God's legacy power. Following this, Shurya flew to the front and stretched out a hand, causing a massive wave of time power to spread out like waves of light. A golden, noble bell gave off a massive aura as it appeared in the air, giving off golden light and ripples of time. Chapter 2088. The entrance to the Time God's legacy land was even more special than the entrances to other legacy lands, and it could only be opened by those with time god power. Shurya looked at the massive golden bell in front of him and sent a massive wave of time god power into it. The hands of the golden bell started to spin, and a wave of time power spread out, forming a golden vortex. Following this, Shurya and the other two flew into the golden vortex. The scene before them blurred, and the three of them came to a golden region. There were golden bells in the sky, covering the entire sky. The ground, forests, mountains, and rivers were all covered with a golden color. Everything here seemed to be in a state of stillness. The flowing water, the falling leaves, the moving beasts, and the dancing butterflies were all still. There was a 1,000-meter tall stone statue on a golden platform. The statue looked like a noble woman and was tall and slim. She wore a palace dress, and there was a bell necklace around her neck. It gave off a faint golden light and a massive wave of time god power. Shurya and the other two stood on the ground and looked at the massive stone statue. Shurya lightly laughed and said, "Let's go up and take the test." Shurning smiled and nodded. Shurya put the fat cat on the ground and smiled as she said, "Lil Wine, we're going to take the test. Wait here for us." The fat cat meowed, indicating that it understood. It then took out a jade bottle and hugged it, lightly smelling the wine fragrance coming from within. There was only a little bit of sacred blood wine left, and it could not bear to drink anymore. After drinking such a proper wine, it would be gone forever, and it would not be able to obtain more in the future. Right now, the fat cat could only smell the wine every day to satisfy its craving. However, despite this, the fat cat was still quite happy. It held the jade bottle on the ground and smelled the extraordinary wine fragrance, looking quite intoxicated. On the other side, the three goddesses officially began the test. The three of them flew up, and a massive stone statue gave off a massive wave of time god power. Massive golden vortexes appeared in the surroundings, and every golden vortex gave off intense time god power ripples. They gave off massive auras and seemed to be unstoppable. Immediately, that area was in a state of chaos. This chaos was formless, but it was also very terrifying. If an ordinary person were to step forward, it would be very difficult to deal with them. Although they did not seem to be in any danger, taking a single step forward would cause them to fall into an endless vortex of time. It would be impossible for them to escape. Even if you attacked, it would be useless. For example, if you shot an arrow, the arrow would immediately disappear, and you would quickly lose contact with the arrow. Regardless of whether it was arrows or other attacks, they were basically ineffective. Only a powerful force that could destroy time could possibly break this time vortex. Therefore, even if ordinary people entered this place, they would not be able to pass the test. They could only search for some treasures in the surroundings and then leave this place. However, the three sisters were different. They were time gods themselves, and they were not ordinary time gods. Shuri's expression was quite serious, and he did not dare to be careless at all. He looked at the two people beside him and said, "Let's begin." The other two nodded. Boom! An explosion sounded out as a massive wave of time power exploded out from Gui's body. A white gold light shone out from her body, and time wheels appeared around her, slowly spinning. These time light wheels were like blurry rings of light. They looked somewhat illusory and emitted a faint light. Immediately, the space around Gui started to go through changes, as if scenes from the past appeared. It was unknown how much time had passed. As the past-time god, Gui could cause a small region of space to go back in time, causing scenes from the past to appear. Boom! An explosion once again sounded out as Shuria's body gave off a massive wave of time power. Her body also gave off white gold light as time wheels appeared and also slowly spun. The space around Shuriya also started to go through changes, as if some hazy scenes from the future appeared. It was impossible to see what they were. As the future time god, Shuriya could cause a small region of space to go back in time, causing scenes from the future to appear. Because there were too many uncertain factors, the scenes were quite hazy. Boom! An explosion once again sounded out as Ning's body gave off a massive wave of time energy. Her graceful body gave off platinum-colored light as time discs appeared and slowly spun around her. The space around Ning did not go through any changes, unlike her big sister and little sister, who would have scenes appear around them. Because Ning was the time god of the present, she did not have the power of the past or the power of the future. She only had the power of the present. Even though she did not have the ability to know the past or the future, she was still an integral part of the time cycle. After all, the past and future needed to be connected together. Gui flew 10 meters to the left, Shuriya flew 10 meters to the right, and Ning stood in the middle without moving. Boom! At that moment, Ning gave off a massive wave of time power, and the time wheels around her spread out and flowed into the other two people's time wheels. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Ning's time energy flowed into the two people next to her. A massive wave of time energy exploded out as massive time wheels covered the three people's bodies and quickly spun. Powerful waves of time spread out, making people feel incredibly terrified. Gui flew forward with the many time light wheels, neither too fast nor too slow. The golden vortexes around the stone statue gave off chaotic flows of time, but they did not stop the time wheels at all. At this moment, the time wheel of light was extremely powerful. The three of them were not ordinary time gods to begin with, and now that the three of them fused together, their power became even more terrifying. It was tens of times stronger than when they were separated. This type of time power was no longer the time power of the past, present, or future. Instead, it was the time power of the world. This was because the past, present, and future could form a world's time, and the power that the time wheels gave off could even affect the world's time. This was why it was said that this time energy was incredibly terrifying. The time wheels came before the stone statue at a moderate speed. And what was surprising was that the stone statue looked down at the woman within the wheel of time. It did not give off any might, nor did any magic formations appear. There were only two situations where this would happen. The first was that the person participating in the trial was closely related to a Lord God, and Zhao Fu was the first. The second was when the main god held someone in high regard. Chapter 2089. The three women understood that they had received the time, God's acknowledgement, and smiled. They dispelled the time wheel of light and flew to the ground before respectfully bowing to the stone statue. The corners of the stone statue's lips curled upwards, revealing a trace of a smile. Golden light shone from its forehead, and a powerful wave of time power spread out, causing the surrounding time to slow down. Boom, boom, boom. 3 rays of golden light, giving off massive auras, shot out from the stone statue's forehead and quickly landed on the 3 women's bodies. A massive wave of the ancient time God's legacy power continuously flowed into the 3 women's bodies. The 3 women stood where they were and closed their eyes. They had traces of smiles on their faces as they absorbed the time energy with all of their strength. The fat cat, who was hugging the jade bottle, looked at this scene and gave a surprised and happy smile, feeling happy for its owner. As Zhao Fu robbed the godly spirits of their god power, he went wherever there were many godly spirits and obtained a lot of god power. At that moment, Zhao Fu sensed that there were many godly spirits gathered, and he gave off powerful auras as he flew over. After reaching that place, Zhao Fu found that this was another time God's legacy land. There was a moon-like planet floating in the air. It was hundreds of meters wide and gave off silver-white moonlight. It gave off a cold aura and a massive aura. There were many godly spirits standing here, and because there were simply too many godly spirits, Zhao Fu did not rob them of their god power. However, even though Zhao Fu did not want to rob their godly spirits, Zhao Fu was still recognized by others, and someone immediately cried out in fear, "The God Stealer is here." The God Stealer was the nickname that the victims had given Zhao Fu. He was someone who stole god power. Hearing this cry, everyone looked at Zhao Fu and looked slightly fearful as they made way for him. Now, many people knew how terrifying Zhao Fu was, and as more and more godly spirits were robbed, many godly spirits recognized Zhao Fu. Now, Zhao Fu's fame was no less than that of a peerless genius. As such, even if Zhao Fu wanted to keep a low profile, he would be quickly recognized, which was why this scene had occurred. Zhao Fu did not mind everyone's gazes and looked at the moon as he gave a delighted smile. This was the entrance to a time god's legacy land. It was most likely the entrance to a time god's legacy land. Before, Zhao Fu had said that he needed to gather the metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and yin and yang attributes to obtain the opportunity to awaken the spirit race's emperor star. Now, Zhao Fu only lacked the fire, earth, and yin attributes. He had obtained the yang attribute from the sun god pool after absorbing the ancient sun god's power, and it had become even more powerful. Since the sun god's power could represent the yang attribute, then the moon god's power could naturally represent the yin attribute. The ancient moon god's power was what Zhao Fu lacked. The ancient moon god's power was incredibly terrifying, so he had to satisfy Zhao Fu's request and help Zhao Fu obtain the yin constitution. Zhao Fu smiled as he flew forwards, flying into the moon's domain. Zhao Fu felt a massive wave of cold moon power flow over, and it contained an extremely powerful penetrative power. Even the defensive barrier was unable to stop it. Some people had wanted to charge in, but their bodies had been penetrated by the cold moon power, causing them to fall from the sky. Now, their bodies were curled up, looking frozen. This cold came from a spirit, and it was very difficult to resist or get rid of. However, this massive wave of moon power was not very strong to Zhao Fu. A black dragon inscription barrier appeared around his body, blocking that wave of moon power, and he immediately felt the cold disappear. Zhao Fu directly flew into the massive planet and entered the Moon Lord God's legacy land. The people outside the planet saw that the moon power that had stopped countless people from entering had been easily blocked by that person. This was enough to prove that that person was truly terrifying and that the rumors were not false. Boom! Just as Zhao Fu entered the Moon Lord God's legacy land, he heard a massive explosion, and Zhao Fu looked into the distance. There was a stone statue with a graceful figure and a peerlessly beautiful face wearing a palace dress, looking like a celestial maiden. Her forehead gave off countless traces of silver-white moonlight, and a powerful wave of moon power continuously spread out. A silver-white ray of light giving off a massive aura landed on a woman's body, and massive amounts of ancient moon god power continuously flowed into her body. The woman wore a white palace dress and had jet black hair. She was extremely beautiful, and her skin was white. She had a graceful figure and gave off a cold aura. She was like an unreachable celestial maiden, and her beauty could move anyone's heart. She was the nine-moon god moon's goddess Yuchan. Seeing her here, Zhao Fu was not surprised at all. The nine moon gods were the most powerful moon god faction in the godly world, and their attributes were the same as the ancient moon gods. Moreover, the nine moon gods had a deep connection to the ancient moon god, and almost every generation's goddesses would come here to obtain ancient moon god power. Boom! At that moment, the stone statue's forehead gave off an even more powerful silver-white light, and an even greater moon god aura spread out. An even more intense silver-white ray of light landed on Yuchan's body, and even more moon god power entered her body. The moon god closed her eyes and focused on absorbing the massive amounts of moon god power. Her body gave off a faint light and gave off a holy aura, and she looked incredibly beautiful. Right now, Zhao Fu could only watch from here and could not go up and intervene. This god statue was an incredibly terrifying existence, and if he tried to stop it, he might suffer a calamity. Boom! 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 Explosions continuously sounded out as the stone statue's forehead continuously gave off intense silver-white light. Rays of silver-white light containing massive amounts of moon power shot towards Yuchan's body. Following this, the light from the stone statue gradually dimmed. Yuchan had obtained 6 ancient moon god legacies in total, and to ordinary people, this was quite shocking. Ordinary people would be lucky to obtain one. The green-clothed man had a divine bloodline and had a terrifying identity, but he had only obtained 7 legacies. This meant that Yuchan was not simple at all, and her talent and power were both terrifying. The light and power from the stone statue gradually dissipated, and Yuchan fused the ancient moon god power into her body. Feeling the power within her body, Yuchan smiled. Yuchan opened her eyes and wanted to leave, but she found a cloaked person standing not too far away. That person's aura was quite ordinary, and there seemed to be nothing special about him. Yuchan thought to herself that he was someone who had come to take the stone statue's trial and obtained ancient moon god power, so she did not pay too much attention. Chapter 2090. However, looking at how ordinary his aura was, he most likely would not have any chance of obtaining ancient moon god power. Of course, she had already obtained 6 of the 10 ancient moon god powers, and she would not be able to obtain the remaining 4. She did not care who she would give them to. Zhao Fu noticed that Yuchan was looking at him and could not help but smile. He looked at Yuchan and sized up her appearance and figure. She was so beautiful that she could cause anyone to be mesmerized, and no less than expected from a famous beauty in the godly world. Sensing Zhao Fu's gaze, Yuchan slightly frowned, but did not mind because she had experienced such things many times. With her beauty, there wasn't a single man who wouldn't be moved. Basically, they would crazily pursue her, no matter the price. After looking at Zhao Fu, Yuchan turned into a ray of light and disappeared over the horizon. Zhao Fu looked away. He was not too interested in Yuchan and had only taken a few glances at her. Now that she had left, it was time for him to test her. The stone statue only had 4 ancient moon god legacy powers left, and he felt that there were not enough. He could not allow anything unexpected to happen, and he had to obtain all of them. Zhao Fu flew towards the stone statue. Sensing that Zhao Fu was getting closer, the stone statue once again gave off a silver-white light and a massive wave of ancient god power, forming a massive might. Zhao Fu did not feel any fear and continued to fly forwards. Boom! At that moment, the stone statue also started to attack. The stone statue exploded out with a terrifying moon god's power, and a shocking aura spread out as a massive silver-white disk appeared behind her. It was 1,000 meters wide, while the stone statue itself was only 1,000 meters wide. Swish, swish, swish. After the silver disk appeared, rays of silver-white light containing ferocious power shot toward Zhao Fu. They were incredibly fast and tore through the air. Zhao Fu hurriedly stretched out a hand, and a powerful energy flowed out of his hand, forming a massive black magic formation that gave off a black light and a terrifying divine power blocking in front of him. Bang! 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 Explosions rang out as silver beams of light containing immense power struck the black magic array. Shockwaves spread out, and a few cracks appeared on the black magic array. Zhao Fu immediately used even more powerful power, and black power continuously flowed out of Zhao Fu's palm and poured into the black magic formation. The black magic formation became several times larger and gave off even more terrifying power. Bang, 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 bang. Massive explosions once again sounded out as silver beams of light containing immense power slammed into the black magic formation. The silver light became somewhat blinding, and a shocking aura spread out. At this moment, the black magic array released an even stronger power. Countless rays of black light shot out in all directions, blocking the countless beams of light that shot toward it. Relying on the defensive magic array, Zhao Fu quickly flew forward. During this time, one silver beam after another bombarded the magic array. However, it didn't cause any damage to Zhao Fu. In the end, Zhao Fu still reached the stone statue. The silver light on the stone statue's back disappeared, and a massive might suddenly weighed down on Zhao Fu. A massive silver magic formation giving off a powerful aura floated up from the ground. Because of his previous experiences, this time, Zhao Fu was suppressed by that massive might, causing his body to quickly fall. However, Zhao Fu was able to land steadily. However, as soon as his feet touched the ground, the massive power turned into a shockwave that rippled out, causing the ground to crack. That powerful might was still weighing down on his body, but Zhao Fu's expression did not change. He used his body's power to resist that might and continued onwards. As expected, Zhao Fu arrived in front of the stone statue, and the massive might disappeared. The stone statue lowered its head and looked at Zhao Fu, while Zhao Fu looked up at the Lord God stone statue and looked into its eyes. At that moment, the stone statue gave a trace of a smile, and boundless silver light once again shot out from its forehead. A powerful wave of ancient moon god power spread out, forming a powerful gale. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a silver-white beam of light giving off a massive aura shot into Zhao Fu's body incredibly quickly, and a massive wave of ancient moon god power entered Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and closed his eyes as he absorbed the ancient moon god legacy power. Boom! 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 3 more explosions sounded out as silver-white beams of light giving off powerful auras shot out and landed on Zhao Fu's body. Massive amounts of ancient moon god power continuously entered Zhao Fu's body. Under this massive amount of ancient moon god power, Zhao Fu's body started to go through changes. At that moment, the light that the stone statue gave off gradually dimmed, and its aura started to dissipate. Even though it had only given Zhao Fu 4 legacy power, because there were only 10 in total, giving Zhao Fu 4 legacy power meant that he had already completed the mission. In the end, the stone statue disappeared, and Zhao Fu stood where he was, his body giving off a silver-white light as he continued to go through changes. This was because the ancient moon god power was quite important to Zhao Fu. Yuchan had only just left, and her body was still near the planet. Boom! A massive explosion once again sounded out as a massive planet gave off an intense silver-white light within the secret realm. It gave off a massive aura as it turned into a silver-white ray of light and shot into the sky. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the silver-white planet exploded, and a silver-white wave of light spread out with unstoppable force. A powerful aura spread out, forming a powerful gale. There were 24 magic formations in the sky, and one of them gave off a silver-white light, making it seem as if a circle was filled with silver-white light. Now, there were 4 circles in the sky, and they gave off different lights. This meant that the 4 god legacies had given Zhao Fu all of the legacy power. Because Yuchan was nearby, she sensed this powerful aura, and her expression fell as she looked at the sky. Someone has obtained the remaining 4 ancient moon god power so quickly. Thinking to there, Yuchan could not help but think of a certain person. Back when she had left, there had only been that person. If there was anyone who had the highest chance of obtaining the remaining legacy power, it would be that person. Moreover, he had been astonishingly fast. She had only just left when he had obtained all of the legacy power, and she felt that he was much faster than her. Before, she had felt that he was quite ordinary, and being able to enter the god legacy land was already incredibly lucky. She had never thought that he would obtain the remaining legacy power so quickly. Chapter 2091. This time, he had made an error in judgment. He had underestimated that person's strength. However, with his eyesight, he shouldn't have misjudged someone, unless that person was stronger than him and was deliberately hiding his strength, or this person was very special. Wait, Yuchan suddenly thought of something. This person was faster than her and was quite special. Could it be that he had obtained the legacy power of the previous 3 god kings? It was said that the person who had obtained the legacy power of the previous 3 god kings was most likely the 2nd king of kings. Otherwise, no one would be able to guess who would have such terrifying power. Yuchan felt quite startled. Could it be that that person really was the 2nd king of kings? She had brushed past him and had not recognized him? Thinking about that, Yuchan's mind went blank. She had never thought that such a thing would happen, nor had she thought that she would meet the 2nd king of kings. Back then, she had thought that this person was not only ordinary, but had been infatuated by her beauty. She looked down on him and did not like him at all. However, was that person really the 2nd king of kings? Yuchan hurriedly returned to where she had been, but there was not a single person there. In the end, Yuchan could not help but sigh. She had never thought that such a thing would happen. However, regardless of whether that person was the 2nd king of kings or not, she was certain that that person was incredibly terrifying and would not be any weaker than her. Now that he had come to the secret realm, they would definitely meet in the future. When that time came, she would know his identity. This competition of the gods was not simple at all. Not only was the 2nd king of kings hiding among the crowd, but there were also many terrifying existences hidden among the crowd. This competition of the gods would be abnormally intense. Yuchan breathed out, and her gaze became resolute. No matter how powerful her opponent was, she would not easily admit defeat, even if it was the 2nd king of kings. Within the moon god legacy land, Zhao Fu's body gave off a silver-white light. The powerful ancient moon god's power caused Zhao Fu to use the moon god constitution. His hair, eyes, and skin all became a silver-white color. This wave of moon god's power was extremely terrifying, and it was the peak of moon god's power. Even though it was only 4 legacy powers, it allowed Zhao Fu to grasp powerful moon god's power. Zhao Fu felt like he was the moon god of the 9 heavens. He could control all moonlight, and he could even become a moon, controlling everything in the world. Right now, although Zhao Fu had absorbed the power of the ancient moon god, his body possessed a powerful moon god's power, and his soul also emitted a silvery white moonlight. He was still unable to move. But things didn't end there. At that moment, within Zhao Fu's body, a black and white yin-yang diagram continuously absorbed the moon god's power before slowly spinning. Now it was the most important step. This was more complicated than absorbing the sun god power, because Zhao Fu wanted to complete the transformation of the yin and yang attributes. In other words, the yang attribute could be transformed into the yin attribute, and the yin attribute could be transformed into the yang attribute. There was yang within yin and yin within yang. This was Taiji. This was the effect of the Taiji diagram on Zhao Fu's chest. It fused the yin and yang attributes into one, causing the two powers to become even more powerful. The Taiji diagram continuously spun within Zhao Fu's body, and a wave of yin and yang power spread out from within Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu's body no longer gave off a silvery white light, and it instead gave off a black-white light. Zhao Fu's body also started to go through changes. After a while, a powerful wave of yin and yang power exploded out from Zhao Fu's body, forming a powerful wind that spread out. A massive Taiji diagram appeared around Zhao Fu's body, and massive amounts of heaven and earth power flooded into Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu opened his eyes, and one of his eyes became white while the other became black, shooting out two rays of light. Now, the Taiji diagram within Zhao Fu's body slowly spun, giving off a silvery white light and a golden light. A powerful wave of yin and yang power continuously spread out from Zhao Fu's body. This wave of yin and yang power was extremely terrifying. It was the power of the ancient sun god's legacy power and the ancient moon god's legacy power fused together. The two powers were incredibly terrifying, and they were the two most terrifying powers in the world. However, the power created from the fusion of these two powers was naturally even more terrifying than the original two powers. Just thinking about it was shocking. Now, Zhao Fu also had a powerful yin and yang constitution. Zhao Fu's soul flame, after receiving the massive amounts of yin and yang power, became black-white. The white gave off a warm power, while the black gave off a cold and gloomy power. At the center of his soul, a Taiji diagram formed, turning yin power into yang power and yang power into yin power. Zhao Fu's soul flame could now be called the yin-yang soul flame, and it contained massive yin and yang power. Moreover, his soul power had also been greatly strengthened. With the yin-yang soul flame's power, Zhao Fu could easily block any mental attacks and unleash terrifying mental attacks. This was how powerful the yin-yang soul flame was. Now, Zhao Fu had the water spirit's blood, wood spirit's body, metal spirit's bones, and the yin-yang soul flame. He was just lacking the earth spirit's and fire spirit's powers. The formation of the yin-yang five-element constitution would definitely be of great help to Zhao Fu. At the same time, he would be able to awaken the spirit race's emperor star, and Zhao Fu felt great anticipation. Finally, with the yin-yang soul flame and yin and yang power, Zhao Fu felt that his control over the six paths demon images had become much stronger, and the six paths of reincarnation's power had also become much stronger. This completely surpassed what Zhao Fu had expected. Zhao Fu had never thought that obtaining yin and yang power would have such a great effect on the six paths of reincarnation's power. It was possible that the six paths of reincarnation had some sort of connection to the Taiji diagram. Now, Zhao Fu's cultivation had greatly increased. Zhao Fu's cultivation was now at the extreme divine realm, and he was just a bit away from breaking through to the Emperor Heaven realm. When that time came, Zhao Fu would become an Emperor Heaven realm expert. After inspecting his body, Zhao Fu happily smiled and did not waste any time as he searched for treasures in the Moon God Legacy land. Yuchan was not very interested in the treasures here because she had a powerful foundation, while Zhao Fu did not have that kind of foundation. All of the treasures here were quite useful to Zhao Fu, so Zhao Fu definitely wanted to collect them. A few hours later, Zhao Fu's body was forcefully teleported out. Zhao Fu had obtained many treasures and had a trace of a smile on his face. Following this, Zhao Fu started to plunder godly spirit's divine power. Because he had absorbed another core god's power, the 10,000 godly power became unbalanced, and he needed even more godly spirit power to balance it out. Chapter 2092. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu gave off a massive aura and descended on an empty area, and a powerful gale blew out. For some reason, There were hundreds of godly spirits gathered here, and Zhao Fu sensed that there were many godly spirits here, so he quickly flew over. When the godly spirits saw Zhao Fu, they immediately felt quite fearful. It was evident that they recognized Zhao Fu. Seeing how fearful they were, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile. It would be easy for him to obtain their god power, and he said in a dignified and domineering voice, "Hand over your god power." "Humph, you want my god power? Let's see if you're qualified." A cold harumph sounded out as a well-built man walked out from the crowd, his body giving off a lightning-like aura. Everyone turned their heads to look at the muscular man and exclaimed in surprise. That's Lei Tianming. His older brother is Lei Tianba, who is ranked 9th among the top 10 absolute geniuses. The Godsizer has kicked an iron plate this time. That's right. Lei Tianming is Lei Tianba's younger brother. Offending him means offending Lei Tianba. That Godsizer is powerful, but compared to the top 10 absolute geniuses, he's still a bit lacking. Lei Tianming is also quite powerful, just a bit weaker than his older brother. However, he's not someone we can offend. It's not that I want to say this, but there's going to be a good show soon. The Godsizer has tried to rob Lei Tianming, so he definitely won't accept it. We'll be able to enjoy their battle later. I'm also looking forward to seeing how intense the battle between these two powerful people will be. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Haha, let's stay away. I feel that Lei Tianming will win because the faction behind him is too terrifying, and the people he nurtured are naturally terrifying as well. As for that Godsizer, he seems quite mysterious, but he's still a bit too weak against Lei Tianming. Standing in the air, Zhao Fu frowned and the smile on his face faded. He had only wanted some god power and had not wanted to start a battle. However, there were still people looking for trouble, and their attitudes were quite vile. Zhao Fu said coldly, "Do I have the qualifications? Don't court death." As a member of one of the strongest powers in the divine world, Lei Tianming was naturally not afraid of anyone. With a cold expression, he said, "You're the one courting death. It's not too late to scram now. I'm not like those trash that's afraid of you." These words immediately made everyone present unhappy. Who among them was trash? They were just a little weaker. Compared to the ordinary deities outside the secret land, they were still a little stronger. Zhao Fu said contemptuously. "Really?" A trace of anger appeared on Lei Tianming's face, but he didn't say anything. At this moment, it was all about strength. Boom! An enormous rumbling sound rang out, and an enormous power erupted from Lei Tianming's body. Countless azure lightning bolts exploded around him, flickering in the air, twisting, connecting, and splitting. The lightning was a bit dazzling to the eyes. The godly spirits hurriedly retreated in fear. This was azure sky lightning, and it was an extremely terrifying type of lightning. Ordinary godly spirits would be heavily injured if they were hit by it, and it would deal massive damage to evil creatures. Boom! Lei Tianming brought with him countless azure lightning bolts as he leapt into the sky. He was incredibly fast, and he arrived before Zhao Fu in an instant. He clenched his fist, and countless bolts of lightning wrapped around it. He punched out like a bolt of lightning, seeming as if it could shatter anything. In that instant, Zhao Fu stretched out a hand, and a massive wave of power flowed out from his palm, forming a black semicircular barrier in front of him. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the fist, bringing with it countless azure lightning bolts, landed on the black barrier, and shocking power spread out. The defensive barrier shattered with a resounding sound. The fist continued towards Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu's body flew to the side, causing Lei Tianming's attack to miss. Lei Tianming gave a disdainful smile as he said provocatively, "Aren't you very strong? Why were you dodging? Who's the one courting death now?" Everyone on the ground looked at the two people in the sky in shock. It seemed that Lei Tianming had a greater advantage, as expected from an expert nurtured by such a terrifying faction. Zhao Fu coldly laughed. "You're quite strong, but to me you're just trash. Perhaps your big brother can fight with me, but you don't have the qualifications." Lei Tianming immediately looked incredibly furious, as if Zhao Fu had touched his reverse scale. He hated to hear that he was inferior to his big brother, and that this person dared to call him trash. It was simply laughable. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Lei Tianming exploded out with even more terrifying power. Countless azure lightning bolts exploded out, covering the entire sky, and a terrifying lightning aura spread out. Swish! Lei Tianming's body shot out like an azure bolt of lightning, arriving before Zhao Fu in an instant. A punch containing countless bolts of lightning blasted out, wanting to blast Zhao Fu into smithereens. This time, Zhao Fu did not move, and he coldly looked at Lei Tianming as he lightly cried out, "Celestial mode. Activate." Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a celestial-like aura exploded out, forming a powerful gale. A rainbow-colored aura flame appeared around Zhao Fu's body. Facing Lei Tianming's incoming punch, Zhao Fu gripped his fist, and a rainbow-colored aura flame wrapped around his fist. A terrifying aura spread out, and Zhao Fu punched out, seeming to be able to shatter space itself. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the two fists collided with terrifying power, resulting in a massive explosion. A shockwave blasted out, forming an intense gale that blew out in all directions, causing rocks to roll and trees to sway. Zhao Fu didn't move at all, while Lei Tianming retreated 4 or 5 steps, a look of shock on his face. Swish! A trace of a cold smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face, and his body disappeared in an instant. In the next moment, he appeared in front of Lei Tianming and raised his leg, giving off a ferocious aura as he kicked towards Lei Tianming. Lei Tianming was given a big fright and hurriedly used his hands to block, causing arcs of azure lightning to appear around them. Bang! An explosion sounded out as Lei Tianming's body fell like a meteor and heavily smashed into the ground, opening up a massive crater. Rubble flew everywhere and dust filled the air. Everyone looked at Zhao Fu in shock. This Godsizer was so terrifying and had such terrifying power. It was the first time they had seen him use his true power. Arc! A loud roar sounded out from the crater as countless berserk arcs of azure lightning exploded out, continuously striking the ground. The ground continuously cracked as a destructive power spread out. Chapter 2093. When the dust settled, Lei Tianming's face was filled with rage as he glared at Zhao Fu. Arcs of azure lightning covered his body. Swish! Lei Tianming had already used all of his power. His body disappeared, leaving behind only a few tiny arcs of azure lightning. However, in the next second, Lei Tianming appeared in front of Zhao Fu and punched towards Zhao Fu with terrifying lightning-filled energy. Zhao Fu didn't move at all. He stretched out his hand and easily blocked Lei Tianming's punch. Swish! Lei Tianming's body disappeared, leaving behind a few tiny arcs of azure lightning. In the next moment, Lei Tianba appeared on the other side of Zhao Fu and punched toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu stretched out his other hand and easily blocked Lei Tianming's attack. Lei Tianming's body immediately disappeared and reappeared behind Zhao Fu. His leg gave off terrifying power as he kicked toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu didn't move at all. A powerful energy exploded out from his body, and a circle of runes appeared around him. Each circle gave off a rainbow-colored light, and a rainbow-colored energy barrier was formed. Bang! Lei Tianming's powerful kick landed on the rainbow-colored barrier, resulting in a massive sound. A gale spread out, but the rainbow-colored barrier wasn't damaged at all. Bang! 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 Lei Tianming's body disappeared and attacked Zhao Fu from different angles. His speed was incredibly fast, and it was impossible to see with the naked eye. Arcs of azure lightning quickly flashed in the sky, and the massive sounds of the powerful energies crashing into the defensive barrier could be heard. This aura was quite shocking. Everyone looked at the sky in shock. Lei Tianming's power was terrifying, but the person in front of him was even more terrifying. No matter how much Lei Tianming attacked, he couldn't even break through the barrier. His strength was enough to completely suppress Lei Tianming. Lei Tianming's expression also became unsightly. He continuously used all sorts of attacks, even from different angles. However, he couldn't break through Zhao Fu's defenses. Was the difference between them that great? This made Lei Tianming very unwilling. With a loud roar, his body exploded with countless azure arcs of lightning as he charged at Zhao Fu. Countless arcs of azure lightning continuously condensed, forming an azure qilin made of lightning. It gave off an extremely terrifying lightning energy as it appeared behind Lei Tianming. Lei Tianming clenched his fists and charged toward Zhao Fu, sending a punch toward Zhao Fu. Bang! A loud sound rang out. The fist, along with the cyan thunder qilin, smashed against the barrier. The barrier slowly cracked open and then shattered. Lei Tianming was overjoyed. He had finally broken through his opponent's barrier. At this time, Zhao Fu's lips curled into a cold smile. The moment Lei Tianming broke through his defense, Zhao Fu kicked out with all his might, directly striking Lei Tianming's abdomen. Bang! Lei Tianming's body flew out like a rubber ball, crashing down from the sky and crashing into a few trees. He coughed up a large mouthful of blood, and his face became pale. Seeing this, everyone sighed. This Godsizer definitely had the strength of a peerless genius. Lei Tianming wasn't a match for him at all. It was just as the Godsizer had said. Only his brother, Lei Tianba, would have the strength to fight him. Lei Tianming didn't give up. He raised his head to the sky and roared with blood in his mouth. Boundless berserk azure lightning spread out, causing the ground to continuously crack. An incomparably terrifying aura spread out, causing people's hairs to stand on end. Lei Tianming was going to fight with his life on the line. Boom! However, in the next moment, Zhao Fu turned into a rainbow ray of light and shot towards Lei Tianming. He brought with him a terrifying power as he slammed into Lei Tianming's body, causing another massive explosion to sound out. A shock wave spread out, and the ground collapsed in an instant. Many stones and wood also shattered in an instant, and then flew out like raindrops. After the dust settled, Lei Tianming could be seen lying on the ground. There was a lot of blood flowing out of his chest, dyeing his clothes blood red. Zhao Fu stood to the side, his body giving off traces of a rainbow aura. Lei Tianming was heavily injured, but he still furiously tried to crawl up. Zhao Fu condescendingly laughed and waved his hand, sending out a powerful wave of energy that sent Lei Tianming flying. This time, Lei Tianming fell to the ground and coughed up a large mouthful of blood. He didn't even have the strength to crawl up. Zhao Fu looked at him, and his voice contained a trace of domineeringness as he said, "Do you understand how powerful you are now? I already said that you were seeking death, yet you still dared to speak to me in such an arrogant manner. I also said that only your big brother has the strength to fight with me. However, your big brother will still lose to me in the end, and it's even more impossible for you." Everyone watched from the side and felt quite shocked. Wasn't this not putting Lei Tianba in his eyes at all? Lei Tianming was one of the top 10 geniuses. What gave this person the confidence to say such a thing? Lei Tianming felt quite humiliated. Not only did this person look down on him, but he also looked down on his big brother. Lei Tianming lay on the ground and furiously glared at Zhao Fu. Seeing how furious he looked, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and casually waved his hand. A wave of energy once again sent Lei Tianming flying, and this time, Lei Tianming fainted and fell to the ground. However, Zhao Fu did not pay any attention to him because there were so many people watching and he was unable to block out the scene. Zhao Fu wanted to teach Lei Tianming a lesson and did not plan on killing him. Zhao Fu turned to look at the other godly spirits standing around. Because of the shock waves from the battle, more godly spirits had arrived, and there were now 600 of them. Zhao Fu looked at them with a ferocious gaze as he said, "Hurry up and hand over your godly spirits." The 600 godly spirits quickly came to their senses and looked quite afraid. They quickly gathered their divine power, and not a single godly spirit dared to say no. This was because they had personally seen just how terrifying Zhao Fu was. If they did not hand over their divine power, they would end up like Lei Tianming. Following this, the godly spirits condensed divine power orbs and lightly tossed them toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu waved his hand, and all of the divine power orbs were put into a spatial ring before Zhao Fu turned into a ray of light and disappeared over the horizon. Boom! A tall man stone statue gave off boundless violet light from its forehead, and a terrifying lightning power spread out. A violet ray of light shot out and landed on a young man's body. The young man had short violet hair that stood on end, making him look like a hedgehog. He was tall and had a coarse face, and he was not wearing any clothes on his upper body. Countless arcs of lightning wrapped around his body, giving off a massive might. He was Lei Tianba, Lei Tianming's big brother, and one of the top 10 geniuses. Chapter 2094. Lei Tianba closed his eyes and absorbed the primordial lightning god's power. His aura became even more terrifying, and it was as if there was a formless electric field around him that caused everyone's hairs to stand on end. The purple light that shot out was the fifth lightning god's legacy power. After shooting out this legacy power, the light from the stone statue's forehead gradually weakened. Finally, the light and aura from the stone statue disappeared, signifying that Lei Tianba had obtained the fifth lightning god's legacy power. This number was quite shocking, and he only had one less legacy power than Yichan. After absorbing all of the primordial lightning god's legacy power, Lei Tianba revealed an excited smile. After absorbing the primordial lightning god's legacy power, his strength had increased by a large amount, and he had become quite terrifying. However, not long after, Lei Tianba sensed something and immediately took out a glass orb. This glass orb was only as big as a longan fruit and was quite transparent, and it gave off an intense green light. This caused Lei Tianba to feel quite startled. The glass orb was a miraculous treasure, and there were only two of them. If one of them was in danger, the other glass orb would sense it as well. Now that the glass orb was giving off an intense green light, this meant that his little brother was in great danger. Even though Lei Tianba looked quite rough, he cared a lot about brotherhood. Even though his little brother was weaker than him, Lei Tianming still cared a lot about this big brother of his. Seeing that Lei Tianming was in trouble, Lei Tianba did not hesitate and turned into a purple bolt of lightning and shot into the sky. A few hours later, Lei Tianba relied on the glass orb's senses and hurried to the place. He saw Lei Tianming lying on the ground covered in blood, and he was quite shocked. He hurriedly went up and picked up Lei Tianming's body and checked his injuries. He found that they were quite serious, and he roared furiously, "Which bastard did this? I'll definitely kill him." At that moment, some godly spirits had not left yet. Seeing how furious Lei Tianba was, they felt quite afraid. Now that the enmity between Lei Tianba and the Godsizer had been set, Lei Tianba would take revenge for his little brother. There would definitely be a battle between them, and when that time came, they would be able to see just how terrifying a battle between geniuses was. Because Lei Tianba's abilities came from a terrifying faction, and he was also very strong, some people eagerly ran in front of Lei Tianba and told him what had just happened. After hearing these words, Lei Tianba became even more furious. That person had not only heavily injured his little brother, he had also humiliated him and his brother. This was absolutely intolerable. Lei Tianba felt an intense killing intent toward Zhao Fu. He really wanted to kill Zhao Fu right now. Now that so much time had passed, that person should have long since escaped. As such, Lei Tianba didn't chase after him. He first treated Lei Tianming's injuries. Following this, Lei Tianming slowly woke up. Seeing Lei Tianba in front of him, Lei Tianming's expression became quite unsightly. Unable to face Lei Tianba. "Big brother, I was defeated by someone. It's because I'm not strong enough that you were humiliated." This time, I understand just how strong I am and just how big of a gap there is between us. I swear that I will train with all my might in the future and defeat that person. I will make that person pay the price he deserves." Lei Tianba smiled as he comforted him, saying, "I'll take care of this matter. Right now, you should focus on recovering." Lei Tianming could tell what Lei Tianba meant and said earnestly, "Big brother, that person is incredibly terrifying. If you meet him, you must be careful." Lei Tianba nodded seriously. Following this, news spread that Lei Tianba was offering a massive reward for finding the God Stealer. Anyone who told Lei Tianba where that person was would receive the massive reward. News of Lei Tianming and Zhao Fu's relationship quickly spread. "That person is quite daring. Not only did he steal some ordinary godly spirit's divine power, but he even dared to steal from Lei Tianba's little brother. Did he not know who that person is? Is he someone that ordinary people can offend?" I also heard that not only did that person easily defeat Lei Tianming, but he also humiliated his two brothers, saying that they weren't a match for him and that they were just two pieces of trash that he could casually defeat. Those words are too arrogant. No wonder Lei Tianba was so furious and spent such a massive reward to find that person. That's right. Just who is that person? He dares to so brazenly look down on a peerless genius. I'm not sure who he is, but I heard that his power is incredibly terrifying and isn't any weaker than a peerless genius. Perhaps he won't lose to Lei Tianba, and perhaps we'll be able to see a world-shaking battle. I'm also looking forward to the battles between the experts in the later stages of the competition. When that time comes, all of us will be eliminated, and those that remain will all be incredibly terrifying. The battles between them will definitely be incredibly intense. I wonder if that person is the King of Kings. If he joins, the competition will be 10 or so times more exciting. If he doesn't come, the competition will lose some of its luster. This news also reached God Kerr's ears. Before, God Kerr had been using historical remnants and legacies to increase his power, and his goal was to defeat the two possessors of Emperor Stars. As such, he naturally did not have time to worry about anything else. However, now that he had heard about that God Stealer, he felt quite startled. That person had stolen so many godly spirits' divine power. It was very likely that he had the ability to devour 10,000 godly spirits. However, this ability was incredibly rare, and he was the only person at the center of the godly world who had it. How could there be another person with such an ability? Moreover, this ability was completely dependent on a certain person. Could it be that that person had come to the secret realm? Thinking to there, God Kerr's expression became quite serious, and it even became slightly unsightly. He could not help but feel nervous about that person's arrival. God Kerr immediately tried to sense it, but it could not sense anything. What was going on? It should have been able to sense that person's arrival, but it could not sense anything. Could it be that that person had just coincidentally obtained the ability to devour 10,000 godly spirits? After thinking about it, it realized that it could only devour divine power, while that person could devour divinity. Evidently, that person was far more powerful than that person. This allowed God Kerr to let out a sigh of relief. However, it did not completely ignore that person. Perhaps that person was related to the person it had been worried about. As such, God Kerr announced that it was searching for that God Stealer, and whoever found it would be greatly rewarded. After hearing this, everyone felt quite surprised. Why was God Kerr also participating? This matter did not seem to have anything to do with him. Now that he was participating, things became even more lively. Chapter 2095. Boom, boom, boom. 3 massive explosions sounded out as a tall and slim figure wearing a palace dress and a necklace with a bell around its neck gave off an intense golden light from its forehead. It gave off a massive wave of world power and shot out 3 golden rays of light. The 3 golden rays of light landed on the 3 women's bodies, and they were the 3-time goddesses. The 3-time goddesses had their eyes closed as they absorbed the ancient time God's legacy power. These 3 legacy power were the 3rd legacy power. Each time, there would be 3 legacy power, so there would be 9 legacy power. The 3 time goddesses had each received 3 legacy power, leaving only 1 legacy power. Even though each of them had only received 3 legacy power and could not compare to those peerless geniuses, the 3 of them as a group had received 9 legacy power, which was quite shocking. Moreover, the 3 of them represented the past, present, and future. When the 3 powers fused together, they became world time power, and after absorbing the ancient time god's power, their power would become many times more terrifying than before. At that moment, the light and aura from the statue's forehead gradually weakened before disappearing. The statue had left behind 1 legacy power, giving the 3 goddesses 9 legacy power. Right now, the 3 goddesses had their eyes closed, and their bodies gave off a faint light as they refined time power. The time god was the rarest godly spirit, and also the most special godly spirit. His power was different from ordinary power, and refining it was quite complicated. Fat Cat, who was lying on the ground and hugging the jade bottle, happily looked at the 3 goddesses. It understood that its 3 owners had all obtained great benefits. Then, it happily took another whiff of the fragrance from the jade bottle and revealed an intoxicated expression. It was a pity that there was only so much of this sacred blood wine. If it could drink a little every day, how great would that be? However, that was impossible. This sacred blood wine required the blood of holy sons to be brewed. So where would it go to obtain holy blood? Back then, it had almost been caught for this small bottle of sacred blood wine. Forget it. It did not want to think about these things anymore. Fat Cat took another whiff of the wine fragrance and looked intoxicated. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind it, reaching out a hand to grab Fat Cat by the nape of its neck, lifting Fat Cat up. Meow, meow, meow. Fat Cat hugged the jade bottle and cried out in panic, not noticing that someone had appeared behind it. Fat Cat wanted to use its time power to escape, but it found that there was a power that had sealed its time power. In the end, Fat Cat turned around in fear, wanting to know who had grabbed her. But when Fat Cat turned its head and saw the person, it was so scared that its fur stood on end. It didn't even care about the wine bottle it was holding and struggled with all its might, meowing for help. Zhao Fu was quite happy and smiled as he held the Fat Cat and said, "Silly cat, you can't escape now, can you?" 10 or so minutes ago, Zhao Fu had robbed quite a few godly spirits of their power. He had wanted to find a secluded place to refine the divine power, but he suddenly sensed his bloodline's aura. Because the sacred blood wine was made with Zhao Fu's blood as the main ingredient, even though it had been turned into wine, there would still be some residual aura. Perhaps ordinary people wouldn't be able to sense this aura, but as the owner of the blood, Zhao Fu could easily sense it. After sensing this aura, Zhao Fu was quite surprised. He had never been here before, so why would there be his aura here? Curious, Zhao Fu followed the aura and found the entrance to the Time Master God's legacy land. This was relatively easy because the entrance to the land of inheritance had remained there ever since it opened. From afar, Zhao Fu could see that the hanging bell gave off a golden light and floated in midair. When Zhao Fu sensed the aura from the hanging bell, he was quite surprised. This was the Time Master God's legacy land. If he could obtain the Time Master God's legacy power, he would have powerful time power, and there would be no need for him to search for the Time God. After Zhao Fu returned to Qin City, he would be able to mass-produce Philosopher's Stones. This was incredibly important to both Zhao Fu and Qin City, so Zhao Fu immediately flew over. The golden bell emitted waves of time ripples in the air. They were like waves of golden light that kept spreading out. These ripples didn't cause any damage, but they were very difficult to defend against. This was because if one rushed over, the time ripples would push one back to where one was. This was time power, not ordinary power, so it was quite difficult to defend against those ripples. However, even though time power was quite special and powerful, when it was powerful to the extreme, it could tear through space and stop time. Zhao Fu himself had a few ultimate powers that could tear through time power. Zhao Fu used the killing sword intent. Zhao Fu took out the Emperor Killing Sword and lightly cried out, "Killing Sword Master." Boom! An almost corporeal killing intent and sword intent exploded out from Zhao Fu's body as his eyes gave off a black and blood-red light, and his body gave off a terrifying and cold aura. The surrounding temperature quickly fell, becoming incredibly dangerous and making people's hairs stand on end. The golden bell in front of him gave off waves of golden light, and Zhao Fu raised the Emperor Killing Sword and sent a powerful wave of power into it, causing it to give off an intense black and blood-red sword light. Boom! Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, and a terrifying black and blood-red sword light, containing power that seemed to be able to slash apart everything, slashed out. The spreading waves of mental light were directly slashed apart. Zhao Fu grasped this opportunity and flew into the Golden Bell. After arriving at the Legacy Land, Zhao Fu saw a familiar figure lying on the ground, hugging a jade bottle and looking quite satisfied. Zhao Fu immediately understood what was going on and could not help but feel quite happy. Last time, he had paid a great price and made all sorts of preparations. But in the end, that fat cat had still escaped and lost the divine blood wine that he had worked so hard to make. It was simply a humiliation. This time, he had to catch that fat cat no matter what. Zhao Fu used the celestial concealment medallion that Xian Lu had given him to hide his aura and put on a bracelet. This bracelet was called the Time Sealing Bracelet, and its effect was to suppress time power. Zhao Fu had spent a lot of money to buy it, and it was specifically used to deal with the time god. Following this, Zhao Fu stealthily walked over. Because he was worried that the fat cat would discover him, Zhao Fu was quite careful with every step he took. The fat cat hugged the wine bottle and did not sense any danger, which was why this scene had happened. Chapter 2096. The three-time goddesses heard the fat cat's terrified and panicked cries and understood that something had gone wrong. They hurriedly opened their eyes and looked towards the fat cat's direction, only to see a cloaked figure pick up the fat cat with one hand. Fat cat continued to struggle in his hands, meowing nonstop, calling out to them for help. The three-time goddesses immediately flew over, and Shuri called out angrily, "Who are you? Hurry up and let Lil Jiu go." Shuri's expression was quite serious because Zhao Fu did not give off his aura, and he gave off an extremely dangerous feeling. Zhao Fu looked at the three women and lightly laughed as he said, "Who am I? This damn cat stole something from me. Who do you think I am?" Hearing this, Shuri felt quite startled. What they had been worried about had happened, and they had even come to find them. Shuri knew that they were in the wrong and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Lil Jiu likes wine too much, so she stole your wine. We'll compensate you, so please let Lil Jiu go." Zhao Fu had a smile on his face as he looked at the fat cat. The fat cat did not struggle and looked at Zhao Fu pitifully, wanting Zhao Fu to let it go. Zhao Fu could already sense that the three women were all-time gods, and they were not ordinary time gods either. Moreover, they seemed to have just obtained the time god's legacy. If he could subdue them, it would be 10 or so times better than having time power. After all, Zhao Fu had too much power, and he could not focus on cultivating a single type of power. As such, even if Zhao Fu obtained the time god's legacy power, he would not be able to develop it to its full potential. This would naturally not be as effective as a time god, so it would be best if he could subdue them. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Of course I can let it go. As for compensation, I see that the three of you are quite good. How about becoming my subordinates?" Shuri did not expect Zhao Fu to say this, and she looked at her big sister. Shining also looked at her elder sister. They did not have any thoughts of becoming someone else's subordinate. Firstly, they were of noble status to begin with. Secondly, they had come out this time for the primordial time sovereign's power. Once they obtained it, they would return to their faction. Shirkuan looked at Zhao Fu sternly. "I'm sorry. We can't agree to this request of yours. Why don't you tell us something else? If we can do it, we will do our best to fulfill it." Zhao Fu's smile faded. "Whether you agree or refuse, you must submit to me today." Shirgui's expression changed slightly. There was nothing she could say now. Zhao Fu was tyrannically trying to subdue them and did not care about their opinions. Do you really want to do this? We don't want to fight with you and are willing to compensate you with all kinds of things, but don't go too far. Shiya and Ning's expressions were serious as they looked at Zhao Fu. They understood that the battle was about to begin. Zhao Fu sneered. I only want you to submit to me now. Clang, clang, clang. A massive aura exploded out from Zhao Fu's body as chains containing terrifying power shot out from the ground, shooting towards the three women incredibly ferociously. Gui's gaze became serious, and he stretched out a hand, causing a massive wave of time energy to flow out and spread out. The chains quickly lost control and retracted back into the ground. Zhao Fu did not look surprised because he had fought with the time god before. He immediately lightly shouted, Celestial Mode. Activate. Boom. A massive aura exploded out from Zhao Fu's body, turning into a wild gale. A rainbow-colored aura flame appeared around Zhao Fu's body as a celestial aura spread out, seeming to lock down space-time. The chains that had retracted into the ground were instantly dyed with rainbow-colored light and broke free from the bindings of time. They gave off terrifying power as they once again shot towards the three women. Gui's expression did not change. He stretched out his hand and swiped to the side, causing a wave of golden energy to spread out. Bang! 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 The rainbow-colored chains gave off immense power as they automatically shot to the side. The countless rainbow-colored chains pierced through the ground, resulting in massive sounds. Rocks flew everywhere, and many holes appeared. Gui once again said, We really don't want to become enemies with you. I'll say it one last time. We can compensate you with things, but we definitely won't submit to you. Shiya said somewhat angrily, We already said that we're willing to compensate you, yet you still want to attack us. You're too much of a bully. We're not people who can be bullied so easily. Ning did not say anything and coldly stared at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu looked at the three-time goddesses seriously. Their time energy was quite powerful, and they could even forcefully twist the chains that contained celestial power. If he cannot break their time energy, it would be very difficult to harm them. Thinking about that, Zhao Fu coldly laughed and took out the Emperor Killing Sword. A wave of power locked down the fat cat, and he threw it to the ground, saying, I want to see just how powerful your time god is. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a terrifying aura spread out. The rainbow-colored aura flame around Zhao Fu's body disappeared, and traces of black and blood-red sword chi came out of Zhao Fu's black cloak. A massive wave of killing intent and sword intent flowed out, and the air seemed to be unable to withstand it and started to twist. An extremely dangerous aura spread out, and the world seemed to fall into hell as the sky became blood-red. Zhao Fu held a black and blood-red sword as he stood there, his eyes giving off dense blood-red light. His body gave off traces of blood-red aura, and his body became hazy, seeming both real and illusory, as if he was a celestial of slaughter. Zhao Fu had not left his celestial mode, and now that his killing sword intent and celestial mode fused together, his power was incredibly terrifying. Sensing this power, Gui and the other two women's expressions fell as they felt terror, and their bodies instinctively trembled. Boom! Zhao Fu's body turned into a blur as he quickly rushed at Gui. His aura was incredibly ferocious, and he looked like a terrifying monster rushing at him. Gui stretched out a hand, and a wave of golden energy flowed out. Time seemed to stop as a golden shield formed. With the stop time as the shield, it was as if one was in a different time. This attack was incredibly powerful and could block almost all attacks. Xing. However, Zhao Fu turned into a blur as he appeared in front of the golden shield. He casually slashed out with a sword, and a black and blood-red sword arc containing extremely sharp power instantly cut through the stop time, causing it to once again flow. Gui's expression fell, and she hurriedly called out to the two goddesses beside her, Hurry and leave. This person is too powerful. As she spoke, Zhao Fu's body turned into a blur as he instantly arrived in front of Shirgui, and his sword gave off terrifying power as he slashed toward Shirgui. Chapter 2097. Seeing that their big sister's life was in danger, Shirya and Shirkuo naturally could not leave. They stretched out a hand, and a wave of golden time energy flowed out of their bodies, forming two golden spears. Boom! Boom! The two golden time spears gave off terrifying golden light as they shot towards Zhao Fu incredibly quickly. At that moment, Shirkuo's body gave off a wave of time energy as a golden vortex appeared around him. The surrounding time became chaotic, and Shirkuo wanted to use this chaotic time as a defense to block Zhao Fu's incoming sword strike. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the chaotic time was slashed apart, and the golden vortex was split in two. Shirkuo's body was also hit by a powerful sword energy and was sent flying backwards. At that moment, the two spears gave off terrifying power as they shot toward Zhao Fu. These two-time spears could not be dodged at all, as they would change according to time and would definitely hit their target. Boom! Zhao Fu slashed out with his sword, sending out a terrifying black and blood-red sword energy that destroyed the two golden spears and caused a massive gale to dissipate. A trace of blood leaked out of Shirkuo's mouth, and he understood that they would not be able to escape. They could only stay and fight. Only then would they have a chance of survival. He said, "This person is too powerful. We need to combine our powers." Shirya and Shining looked at Zhao Fu in shock as he destroyed the two spears. This was the first time they had seen such a terrifying person. Hearing Shirkuo's words, the two of them came to their senses. Only by combining their time energy would they have a chance of stopping that person. At that moment, Zhao Fu moved incredibly quickly, leaving behind afterimages as he appeared in front of the two of them. He once again slashed out, and an incredibly sharp blood-red arc of light slashed towards the two of them, seeming to be able to slash apart everything. Shirya and Shinning's bodies were slashed apart and turned into countless afterimages that dissipated. These were not their corporeal bodies, but afterimages that they had left behind. Boom! 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 By then, Shirtai's team of three was standing together. The three of them unleashed a formidable power of time, causing three booming sounds to ring out. The three of them each stretched out a hand toward Zhao Fu, and their bodies gave off golden light. The different types of time powers they gave off fused together, causing their bodies to give off different types of golden light. A massive wave of power spread out from their bodies. This was a world formed from past, present, and future time power. This time power was more than 10 times stronger than before. Boom! The three-time goddesses vigorously pushed out with their hands, and a massive golden ray of light containing terrifying power shot toward Zhao Fu, giving off an unstoppable aura. This was a time attack, and it would change according to time, making it impossible to dodge. Bang! As the powerful beam of light shot over, Zhao Fu blocked it with his sword, resulting in a massive explosion. Zhao Fu's body was forced back a few steps. Zhao Fu's eyes gave off a blood-red light, and he gave a cold smile. He looked like a peerlessly ferocious beast as he rushed forwards incredibly quickly, leaving behind afterimages. The three-time goddesses were given a big fright and once again pushed out with their hands. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as an even larger golden beam of light containing terrifying power and a shocking aura shot toward Zhao Fu like a bolt of lightning. He was unable to defend at all. Zhao Fu did not slow down at all as he sent a powerful wave of power into the Emperor-killing sword. A terrifying wave of power spread out from the Emperor-killing sword, and the Emperor-killing sword gave off traces of sword chi. Boom! As the massive golden beam of light shot over, Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out with his sword. A sword energy that seemed to be able to destroy all things slashed apart the golden beam of light, causing it to turn into countless motes of golden light and dissipate. At that moment, Zhao Fu's body arrived in front of the three-time goddesses, and he prepared to slash out. The three-time goddesses' expressions were quite serious, but they did not show a trace of fear. An even greater power exploded out from their bodies, and their eyes became golden like clocks. The golden light from their bodies became even more intense, and the surrounding time seemed to be frozen. Boom! The three-time goddesses vigorously grabbed out with their hands, and a massive wave of time power flowed out. The heavens and earth dimmed as time and space became chaotic, and yin and yang collapsed. Zhao Fu felt a massive power lock down on his body. This power came from this world's time power. Illusory time discs appeared around Zhao Fu's body and surrounded Zhao Fu's body. As more and more time discs appeared, they became larger and larger, and they continuously spun around Zhao Fu. The world's time power became stronger and stronger, as if it wanted to seal Zhao Fu within endless time. Seeing that Zhao Fu had been locked in place by the world's time, the three-time goddesses inwardly let out sighs of relief. This was their most powerful attack, and if they could not stop Zhao Fu, they would not be able to stop Zhao Fu. They could only admit defeat and submit to Zhao Fu. Fortunately, they had succeeded this time. This time, they had used this world's time power to seal Zhao Fu, and ordinary geniuses would not be able to stop it. Shi Wu looked at the imprisoned Zhao Fu and wanted to say something. However, at that moment, she saw Zhao Fu's lips curl up into a cold and cruel smile, and she felt as if she had fallen into an icy cavern. An extremely terrifying killing intent and sword intent flowed out from Zhao Fu's body, and it was as if the gates of hell were slowly opening. The sun and moon dimmed, and the heavens and earth started to tremble. Shing, 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 boundless black and blood-red sword chi containing terrifying power flowed out from Zhao Fu's body, continuously shooting out. Each strand contained berserk killing intent and destructive sword intent as it madly slashed towards everything in the surroundings. The ground, space, rocks, grass, and trees were all slashed apart by the strands of sword chi. Countless strands of black and red sword chi flowed out, seeming to be able to destroy the heavens and earth. The countless time discs were instantly slashed apart, turning into countless images and dissipating. Following this, countless strands of black and blood-red sword chi spread out, seeming to be able to destroy everything. Even though the many experts on the viewing platforms had only seen the scene and were not present, they could sense how terrifying this power was. It was simply world-destroying, and they felt quite shocked. It seemed that they had once again underestimated Zhao Fu. He actually had such terrifying power, and the three-time goddesses were definitely going to lose. Even if they did not die from this attack, they would be heavily injured. Chapter 2098. The ground continued to tremble as a terrifying aura spread out like a tidal wave, causing the entire world to feel as if it had turned cold. Smoke and dust filled the air, covering countless places. After everything settled down, there was a 1,000-meter wide, 100-meter deep crater in the ground. There were many sword gashes in the crater, looking quite terrifying. There were still traces of sword chi left. The three-time goddesses were lying on the ground, unconscious, covered in blood. The three of them were very useful to Zhao Fu, so Zhao Fu naturally couldn't kill them. He just heavily injured them. The fat cat meowed worriedly, looking quite pitiful. Now it felt quite guilty. It was because it had stolen the wine that this had happened. However, what it didn't know was that Zhao Fu had set up a trap for it. This had nothing to do with whether it had stolen the wine or not. Zhao Fu went up to check on the three-time goddesses' injuries. He first sealed their powers, fed them some healing medicines, and leaned their bodies against a large rock. Their injuries were too severe, and they needed some time to recover before they could wake up. As such, Zhao Fu could only put them aside and wait for them to recover before subduing them. Zhao Fu's gaze turned to the time chief god statue. He didn't know how much time legacy power the three goddesses had obtained, but the statue hadn't disappeared. This meant that there was still some legacy power left. Zhao Fu didn't plan on giving up. It was a good thing that he had time power as well. Moreover, the time attribute was a very special and powerful power. 10,000 godly power also needed time chief god power to fuse. As such, Zhao Fu didn't exit the killing celestial mode. This was because Zhao Fu's current state was a combination of celestial mode and killing sword intent. As such, Zhao Fu named it the killing celestial mode. Even though the killing sword intent was powerful, Zhao Fu had not developed it yet, so it was not as powerful as the reincarnation celestial Dao mode. The reincarnation celestial Dao mode was Zhao Fu's strongest state, and the killing celestial Dao mode could not compare to it. However, the killing sword intent still had a lot of room for growth. If it matured, it might even be more powerful than the reincarnation immortal Dao, because it was a fusion of pure killing intent and pure sword intent. Within the Heaven Awakened world, this was an extremely terrifying power, and it was one of the most powerful attacks. It could kill gods and celestials, cut apart yin and yang, and could even be destroyed by the heavens and earth. Of course, this required Zhao Fu to develop the killing sword intense power. Now that the Emperor Killing Sword world had grown to a new level, it needed many sword cultivators. Zhao Fu's Killing Sword power came from the Emperor Killing Sword world, and as the Emperor Killing Sword world became more powerful, Zhao Fu's Killing Sword power would naturally become more powerful as well. Sword cultivators were essential to the Emperor Killing Sword world's power, and the Emperor Killing Sword world relied on them to grow. In actuality, Zhao Fu's Killing Celestial mode was quite terrifying, and it could easily break through the world's time restrictions. However, the key thing was that Zhao Fu had not used his full power yet. Zhao Fu's body gave off traces of terrifying black and blood-red sword chi as he flew in front of the time statue. He stepped into the time statue domain. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the time statue, which had lost its powerful aura, once again exploded out with a terrifying aura. Its body gave off an intense golden light as a massive wave of time power spread out. Massive golden vortexes appeared in the surroundings, all of them giving off intense time ripples and giving off terrifying auras. The countless time vortexes messed up time, causing the entire region to become chaotic and giving off a terrifying and dangerous aura. Zhao Fu did not have time power, so it was quite difficult for him to obtain the time god's legacy power. Because the three time goddesses had time power, they were able to obtain the time god's legacy power relatively easily. However, Zhao Fu, who was in the killing celestial mode, did not have to worry at all. Facing this region of chaotic time, Zhao Fu slowly raised the Emperor Killing Sword and sent a powerful wave of power into it. Shing! A massive sword hum sounded out as a terrifying sword chi exploded out from the Emperor Killing Sword, forming a terrifying sword chi storm that spread out as a terrifying sword energy spread out from the sword. Zhao Fu raised the Emperor Killing Sword with one hand and vigorously slashed forwards. Boom! A massive black and blood-red sword light containing destructive sword energy slashed forwards, seeming as if nothing could stop it. In just an instant, it seemed to split the chaotic time in half. The golden vortexes around the stone statue seemed to have been hit by a massive force, and they all collapsed, and the ripples of time also disappeared. Zhao Fu held the Emperor Killing Sword and flew forwards at a moderate speed. Boom! An explosion once again sounded out as the stone statue gave off a massive might that weighed down on Zhao Fu's body, and a golden magic formation appeared on the ground. However, in the killing celestial mode, even though Zhao Fu felt his body sink, he was able to withstand this might. On the other hand, Zhao Fu flew to the ground and walked towards the stone statue. When he came in front of it, the might on his body disappeared. The stone statue looked down at Zhao Fu. Its expression did not change, but it did not give Zhao Fu its legacy power. Zhao Fu could not help but feel nervous. Even though he had passed these tests, it was up to the stone statue to decide whether or not it would give a legacy power. If it did not give it to Zhao Fu, he would not be able to take it by force. Zhao Fu thought about it and wondered if the killing celestial mode was too powerful and affected the stone statue. Zhao Fu immediately exited the killing celestial mode, and the terrifying sword qi around his body disappeared. Boom! An explosion sounded out as the stone statue's forehead gave off an intense golden light, and a massive wave of time energy spread out. Zhao Fu let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that it was because of the killing celestial mode. Boom! At that moment, another explosion sounded out as a golden ray of light shot out from the stone statue's forehead, giving off a massive aura as it landed on Zhao Fu's body. The ancient time god's legacy power entered Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu closed his eyes and absorbed this massive wave of ancient time god's legacy power. This time power was indeed different from ordinary powers, and as it flowed in, Zhao Fu could clearly sense the existence of time. It was as if he could touch and even control time, which made Zhao Fu feel quite surprised. Time passed bit by bit, and Zhao Fu continuously absorbed the time god's legacy power. At that moment, the light and aura that the stone statue gave off gradually weakened. This was because the stone statue still had a bit of legacy power left, and after giving it to Zhao Fu, it disappeared. In the end, the stone statue's aura disappeared, and the golden ray of light from its forehead disappeared as well. The stone statue gradually became blurry before disappearing as well. Please remember this book's domain name. Mobile version. Chapter 2099. Boom! A massive explosion once again sounded out as the golden bell gave off an intense golden light and gave off a massive aura as it turned into a golden ray of light and shot into the sky. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the golden orb of light exploded, causing a golden wave of light to spread out with unstoppable force. A powerful aura spread out, and a ripple of time also spread out. In the sky, there was a massive magic formation with 24 circles, and one of them gave off a golden light, as if the circle had been filled with gold. Now, there were 5 circles in the sky that had been filled up, giving off different lights. This meant that the 5 core gods' legacies had given out all of their legacy power. This explosion caused everyone in the secret realm to look up at the sky, and their expressions became serious as they felt a wave of pressure. Another core god had given out all of his legacies, and there were only 19 core gods' legacies left. This was a bit too fast, and if all 24 legacies were given out, the secret realm would end prematurely. Now that they did not even have a 9-color god seal, no matter how powerful they were, they would not be able to become the master of the gods. After all, in order to become the master of the gods, one had to have a 9-color god seal. If the secret realm trial ended too quickly, it would not be good for anyone, and it was possible that there would not be a master of the gods this time around. Some people sensed the ripples of time and understood that it was a time core god's legacy, causing them to look confused. The time core god's legacy power was the hardest to obtain out of the 24 core gods. This was because not only would it not appear by itself, but it would also stay in a secret place. Most importantly, only the time god could find and open the legacy land. As such, most people had no relationship with the time core god, as they could not even enter the legacy land, let alone obtain the time core god's legacy power. Under normal circumstances, no one would be able to find the time core god's legacy land. After all, time gods were incredibly rare, and the chances of them finding the time core god's legacy land were even lower. Now, the time core god's legacy land had been given out so quickly. This was incredibly rare. This was why everyone looked confused. There had been too many changes in the competition, and they wondered who had obtained the time core god's legacy power. He hoped that this matter had nothing to do with that person. Otherwise, who would be able to accept the fact that that person had obtained the inheritance power of 5 main gods? Within the time legacy land, Zhao Fu stood where he was, wholeheartedly refining the power of time. His body seemed to be permeated by the power of time, and his surroundings were filled with the power of time. Now, Zhao Fu felt like he could easily control time. This feeling was very powerful, many times more powerful than ordinary divine power. The divine spark absorbed the sovereign power of time, causing the power of the myriad deities to become even more terrifying. At the same time, it also caused the power of the myriad deities to become unstable. Zhao Fu immediately sat down on the ground, and orbs of light giving off different colored lights flew out. There were 3,000 or so of them, and they floated in the air, giving off different color divine power and massive divine power auras. Under Zhao Fu's control, the balls of light continuously fused with Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu continued to refine the divine power. Zhao Fu's 10,000 deities' power was already quite unstable, so he had wanted to find a place to refine the divine power. However, he had never thought that he would encounter the Time Legacy land, delaying the process. 3 hours later, Zhao Fu finally finished refining the divine power, causing Zhao Fu's 10,000 deities' power to stabilize and become even more terrifying. Sensing how powerful this power was, Zhao Fu gave a trace of smile, opened his eyes, and stood up. By now, the 3-time goddesses had woken up, but because their bodies' powers had been sealed by Zhao Fu, they could not move at all. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and walked in front of them. The 3-time goddesses' expressions were quite unsightly, and there was a trace of fear in their eyes. They could clearly remember how terrifying the countless strands of sword chi were, and they felt that even dying 100 times would not be enough. As such, they were quite afraid of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "Right now, the 3 of you have no other choice but to submit to me. If you're not willing, I'll use other methods to force you to submit." Shiring did not say anything and instead thought to herself. Shining coldly looked at Zhao Fu. With her personality, she would not submit to someone else and be controlled by someone else. Shirya thought about how this had all happened because her pet had stolen Zhao Fu's wine. As such, she had to take responsibility, so she looked at Zhao Fu with teary eyes. "It was Lil Wine who stole your wine. It's my pet. I'm willing to submit to you and listen to you in the future, but you have to let off my 2 big sisters. They had nothing to do with this." Zhao Fu looked at Shirya and directly refused. One-time god was not as good as a few-time gods, and Zhao Fu could sense that the 3 of them had special time power. After fusing, their time power would become abnormally powerful, so he could not afford to lose any of them. "Then what do you want me to do in order to let my 2 big sisters go?" "I'll agree to anything you want, please," Shirya said to Zhao Fu as if she was about to cry. Shining looked at Zhao Fu and said angrily, "Don't beg him, and don't agree. In the end, you'll just die." Zhao Fu did not mind their words and looked at Shiryi's expression. She was the big sister of 2 people, and the other 2 people viewed her as their master. If she was willing to submit to him, the other 2 people would definitely submit to him as well. Zhao Fu walked up and squatted down. He lifted Shirya's chin and looked at her beautiful face as he gave a trace of an evil smile and asked, "Have you thought about it? Are you willing to submit to me? If you don't agree, I'll have to use special methods." Looking at Zhao Fu's evil look, Shining immediately cried out angrily, "If you dare to do anything to my big sisters, I definitely won't let you off. My family won't let you off either." Shirya sobbed as she said, "I'm begging you. I'm willing to do anything. Don't do anything bad to my 2 big sisters." Zhao Fu continued to ignore their words and looked at Shirya, waiting for her answer. If she did not agree, Zhao Fu would immediately send the 6 desires demonic qi into her body. To Zhao Fu, dealing with women was a very simple matter. Shirya looked at Zhao Fu with her beautiful eyes and said, "Tell us who you are and where you came from. Tell us who you are and where you came from." Zhao Fu looked quite startled. He had never thought that she would suddenly ask about his identity. Zhao Fu thought about it and smiled as he said, "Who do you think I am, and where did I come from?" Shirya said calmly, "I don't know who you are, but you definitely aren't simple. Since you want us to submit to you, you should tell us who you are." Otherwise, we won't even know who we submit to. Chapter 2100. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "All right, I'll tell you who I am. In actuality, you've all heard of me before." Hearing this, the three of them looked quite confused. They did not know who Zhao Fu was and had never heard of Zhao Fu before, nor had they heard of such a terrifying killing intent and sword intent. However, seeing how confident Zhao Fu was, it seemed that he was a very famous person in the godly world. However, after thinking about all of the geniuses in the godly world, none of them looked like Zhao Fu. Shirkuei said, "We can't guess your identity, so just tell us." At that moment, Shirya thought of that bottle of divine blood wine that was brewed from fresh divine blood. And since it was Zhao Fu's, it was very likely that Zhao Fu had a divine bloodline, which only holy sons had. Ordinary holy sons only existed in legends. But recently, there had been a person with a divine bloodline who had become very famous. Almost everyone knew about him, and he had caused a great commotion in the heaven-awakened world. That person was the legendary second king of kings. Many people in the godly world had heard of him, but had never personally seen him. However, they knew that he was an extremely terrifying person, and Zhao Fu fit that description. Moreover, this person did not have time power, but he had been able to pass the trial and obtain the time God's legacy power. He had even successfully refined time power, which meant that he was not ordinary at all. Shirya did not dare to be certain and asked carefully, "Are you the second king of kings?" Hearing this, Shirkuei and Shirning felt quite startled. The second king of kings was an extremely terrifying existence. Was this the person in front of them? They were not sure, and they looked at him, waiting for Zhao Fu's answer. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'm the second king of kings. I'm the second king of kings. Now that you know who I am, you should submit to me." Shirkuei and the others' expressions fell as massive waves crashed in their hearts. They had never thought that the person in front of them would be that person, the incredibly terrifying second king of kings. Shirya said in delight, "Are you really the king of kings? If I'm willing to submit to you under the hands of a heavenly prodigy like you, then can you let my two sisters go?" Zhao Fu rolled his eyes at her. Before Zhao Fu revealed his identity, she had already said that she would submit to him and even asked him to let her two sisters go. There was no difference between now and before. Zhao Fu continued to look at Shirkuei, waiting for her reply. After thinking for a while, Shirkuei looked at Zhao Fu and nodded. "We are willing to submit to you." Zhao Fu lightly laughed, retracted his hand, and looked at Shirning. Now that Shirya and Shirkuei were willing to submit to him, she was the only one left. Seeing Zhao Fu look at her, Shirning felt quite hesitant. Now that her big sister and little sister were willing to submit to Zhao Fu, she naturally had to submit as well. She could not resist right now. However, with her personality, she could not accept submitting to someone else, making her feel quite troubled. Zhao Fu looked at her, but did not say anything. He leaned over and kissed Shirning, and the six desires' demonic qi continuously flowed into her body. Shirning started to struggle before intensely responding to Zhao Fu. Seeing this passionate scene, Shirya's face became bright red, feeling quite embarrassed. However, she could not help but want to see her big sister and Zhao Fu kiss. Shirkuei frowned and wanted to say something. However, Zhao Fu stopped and looked at the red-faced and panting Shirning as he lightly laughed and said, "Are you willing to submit to me now?" Shirning felt quite shy as she softly replied, Zhao Fu grinned. After coming to the godly world for so long, he had finally completed the quest to find the time gods. If he could bring them back, Qin would be able to mass-produce Philosopher's Stones, and Qin's overall strength would greatly increase. Moreover, the three time gods were not ordinary time gods, which meant that the refined Philosopher's Stones would be even more powerful than expected. The Philosopher's Stone combined with the Blood God Pill could forcefully raise a person's cultivation to stage 1. When that time came, everyone in Qin's army would become stage 1 cultivators. When that time came, Even if Qin resisted the Flame God faction, the Second Wind God faction, and the Devil Horn faction, it would not be a problem at all. Moreover, this would reduce the gap between them and the cultivator soldiers and would not have to fear them. Qin would be able to expand in the cultivator world and would not be suppressed and bullied. After all, the cultivator soldiers' greatest advantage was that they had cultivator's power. If Qin also had cultivator's power, their advantage would be gone. Moreover, Qin's soldiers also had darkness power, Qin's power, and some core stats. This meant that not only would Qin's soldiers not be at a disadvantage against the cultivator soldiers, but they would also have many advantages, allowing them to suppress the cultivator world. Thinking about this, Zhao Fu felt quite excited. Before, Qin had been suppressed by the cultivator world, and now he finally had a chance to take revenge. With the Philosopher's Stone, Zhao Fu had another big advantage, which was that after Qin's soldiers died, they could revive using the Philosopher's Stone. Just like the cultivator soldiers, they could greatly reduce the loss of battle power. This was incredibly beneficial to Qin, and Zhao Fu felt quite happy. Now that such an important matter had been resolved, Zhao Fu felt much more at ease. Now, all that was left was to devour a large amount of divine power, become the ruler of gods, and awaken the god race's Emperor Star. Zhao Fu smiled as he looked at Shurya. Seeing her frown, he hugged her and kissed her on the lips, continuously sending 6 desires demonic qi into her body. Shurya did not struggle at all and passionately responded to Zhao Fu, as if she was kissing a lover that she had known for a long time. Shurya's face became red as she watched Zhao Fu kiss her big sister. Thinking about what would happen after Zhao Fu kissed Zhao Fu, she could not help but feel quite expectant. Zhao Fu stopped and did as Shurya wished. He brought her into his embrace and kissed her on the lips, continuously sending 6 desires demonic qi into her body. Shurya shyly responded to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu was using restrictions to control the 3 of them and did not have any improper thoughts. Zhao Fu was now a very righteous gentleman, and he would not do such erotic things unless it was necessary. Zhao Fu temporarily did not remember how he had used his hands to send in 6 desires demonic qi. Following this, Zhao Fu released the restrictions on them and stood up. Looking at the 3-time goddesses whose faces were red and breathing heavily, he smiled and said, "Let's leave this place together." At the same time, Zhao Fu released the restrictions on the fat cat, and the fat cat immediately ran over and leapt into Shurya's embrace, meowing, asking what had happened to Shurya. Chapter 2101. Shurya's face became red as she hugged the fat cat and did not say anything. Shurning's expression did not change. A trace of a smile appeared on Shuryi's face as she looked at Zhao Fu and said with a trace of gentleness, "What are we going to do after we leave this place?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Wait for me at a place because I'm going to go around plundering god power and obtaining the god legacy's power. It's not convenient for me to bring you all." Shuri could not help but lightly laugh. "So that god stealer was you? Did you come to the god world to awaken the god race's Emperor Star?" Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. "That's one of my goals." Seeing Zhao Fu speak so casually, Shurning felt quite shocked. That was the god race's supreme Emperor Star, and countless geniuses were unable to awaken it. Even they could not do so, yet Zhao Fu was able to do so casually. Shurning did not doubt Zhao Fu, as Zhao Fu was the 2nd-generation king of kings and had 6 Emperor Stars. Shurning asked Zhao Fu, "Why do you want to subdue us? Do you need us to do anything?" Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, I'll tell you about this later. There's still some time, so let's see if there are any treasures in this legacy land." Shurning nodded. Following this, Zhao Fu and the others searched for treasures before they were teleported out of the legacy land and returned to the secret realm. Zhao Fu brought them to where Jiu Yun was and had them wait there. Of course, they could also go around. There were countless treasures in this secret realm, so they could just wait for Zhao Fu. Nothing much happened when Jiu Yun and the others met. Jiu Yun treated them warmly, and the 3 of them were also very nice. The fat cat also liked Jiuyin a lot because he was a god of wine, and it felt like it had found a friend. Following this, Zhao Fu left and continued to search for the god legacy land, as well as plundering the god power of many godly spirits. Boom! An explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu gave off a massive aura and landed at a place where godly spirits were gathered. Seeing Zhao Fu descend with such a terrifying aura, a trace of fear appeared on the godly spirits' faces. Because Zhao Fu was quite famous, some people quickly recognized Zhao Fu. There was no need for Zhao Fu to say anything else. The others immediately expressed their willingness to hand over their divine powers and asked Zhao Fu not to hurt them. Zhao Fu only wanted divine power, so there was no need to kill them. If he did this, it would not be so easy to obtain divine power next time. After a while, the divine power of the many gods was gathered, and one by one, the divine power balls flew toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu waved his hand and collected all the divine power balls, then turned into a stream of light and disappeared. After Zhao Fu left, the gods immediately started discussing. Why did that soul snatcher dare to steal our divine power so brazenly, as if nothing had happened? Doesn't he know that Lei Tianba, one of the 10 peerless geniuses, is looking for him to settle the score? Perhaps he is. If he knew that one of the 10 peerless geniuses was looking for him for revenge, he would still be so calm. Ordinary people would have long since gone into hiding in fear and would not dare to show their faces. After all, the person they offended was not someone they could afford to offend. That's hard to say. This soul snatcher strength is also quite terrifying. Perhaps he knows about this and just doesn't care. Don't you think the saints are a bit too arrogant? One of the 10 peerless geniuses, one of the most powerful people in the godly world, and he dares to not care? Just how monstrous is his strength? I don't quite believe it. I also believe that the soul snatcher cannot be that powerful, and Lei Tianba is not that weak either. Everyone has personally seen how terrifying his strength is, and no one dares to not place him in their eyes. I heard that Lei Tianba has given out a massive reward for finding this person's whereabouts. How about we report this to Lei Tianba and not waste such a large reward? I agree. It would be best to see them fight and see who is stronger and who is weaker. I support Lei Tianba. Just what is that soul snatcher? We've never seen one before. After Lei Tianba found out where Zhao Fu was, he furiously ran over. He wanted to see just who it was that had injured his little brother so heavily. This time, even if he did not kill him, he would heavily injure him. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to let go of his anger. However, when the news reached him and he rushed over, he did not know how much time had passed. Zhao Fu naturally could not stay here forever, and he had long since disappeared. After rushing over with great difficulty, Lei Tianba was unable to find Zhao Fu, making him even more furious. He wanted to kill Zhao Fu right now. Zhao Fu had not come into contact with anyone else, nor had he asked around for any information, so he naturally did not know that Lei Tianba had come to settle the score with him. At that moment, Zhao Fu sensed that there were many godly spirits gathered in front of him. He immediately grinned and gave off a powerful aura as he quickly flew over. After arriving there, Zhao Fu discovered that 200 to 300 godly spirits were fishing in an extremely large river. Zhao Fu found that they were using their divine power to fish out a type of gold ore. This type of gold ore was very big, and each one was 1 meter wide. Some were even 2 or 3 meters wide and were completely golden. There were many holes on its surface, and it gave off a godly spirit aura. This was divine gold, a top-notch material for creating divine armaments. Even though divine gold was not very rare, there were so many of them, and they were so big. No wonder so many godly spirits were fishing here. Zhao Fu was naturally not interested in these things, and he gave off a terrifying aura as he said in a dignified and powerful voice, "Hand over your divine power." The terrifying aura that suddenly exploded out caused the godly spirits, who were focused on fishing, to be given a big fright. After seeing Zhao Fu's figure, They did not have any objections, and all of them handed over their divine power. They had heard of how terrifying Zhao Fu was and did not want to lose their lives for a bit of divine power, so they were quite obedient. It could be seen that having a big reputation had its benefits. After putting away their divine power, Zhao Fu immediately turned into a ray of light and disappeared over the horizon. At the same time, there were people who reported that Zhao Fu had come here to Lei Tianba. After hearing about this, Lei Tianba immediately hurried over, but in the end, he still could not find Zhao Fu. After running all the way here and not seeing Zhao Fu, Lei Tianba felt even more furious, and he felt like chopping Zhao Fu into pieces. In the end, Lei Tianba increased the rewards and told anyone who had any news of Zhao Fu to immediately report it. Those who did not report it could not blame him for being impolite. After hearing about this, everyone understood that Lei Tianba was incredibly furious. If he and Zhao Fu met, it would definitely be a life and death battle. This was the fury of one of the 10 peerless geniuses, and just thinking about it made everyone feel afraid. No one would be able to withstand it, and facing them, there was only fear. That person had sought death by heavily injuring someone else's little brother. He was definitely going to suffer. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.